Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Absolute Football Podcast, absolutely non-league show, the show dedicated to everything from National League North, National League South, and as always, we are in collaboration with a fantastic NL full-time. I mean, we've done the North, we've done the South, and now it's time for the one we were the most excited about, Morgan. We are now doing the National League season review, and yeah, I'm looking forward to this one. Lots to talk about. But before we get onto this, Morgan, I will come to you first. How are you? Have you been enjoying the sunshine? I mean, it's not so great at the moment. It's a bit wet at the moment, isn't it? But have you been enjoying the sunshine? Tongue twister.
Yeah, now it's cooled down a little bit. It's not 35 degrees. It's actually been quite nice to actually be outside and be able to enjoy the sun. But yeah, it's been a bit wet today. But yeah, May's been a bit weird. New month though, June, new month, and we can start actually looking forward to the summer and what transfers and stuff we might see happening.
I know. It's one of them though. It's the last season review for us on a non-league show. And I've got to start all over again with my EFL. No, I was like, oh yeah, break, and then I was like, oh no, EFL. Jen, how are you? And have you been enjoying the sunshine?
Yeah, I've been at work mostly, so don't really see the sunshine. But yeah,
True.
I'm doing all right. No, I can't complain.
Love that, love that. And as always, we are in collaboration with a fantastic NL full-time. Representing them tonight, we have Rob. So Rob, how are you? And have you been enjoying the sunshine?
Oh, bless you. Thanks for asking, Shah. Yeah, really well, thank you. Good evening to you all and good evening to the viewers. Had a lovely, like if you could pick the weather for a wedding, I was at a wedding on Saturday and it was 24 degrees, clear blue skies and sunshine. I think that's exactly probably what you'd pick, wouldn't it? It was lovely. And a great bit of fun the night before with some go-karting as well that got very, very competitive, which was great fun. So yeah, all good. Really starting to enjoy the break from the football. This is kind of like our last dance in terms of this season, isn't it, really? I know you got one or two specials lined up. How are you doing, Shah?
Yeah, I'm doing really well, thank you. I mean, everyone's panicking at the moment because the rumours have come out about Jim. Will he go to Stockport? Will he not go to Stockport? I heard a couple of things, but yeah, now it's actually hit Rumourville. It's all over Twitter. But do you know what? I'm not panicking at the moment. It is what it is. Whatever happens, happens. I'm just hoping whatever does happen, it happens quickly because I cannot hack it going right down to like months and months, like surely not. So yeah, I'm hoping if it does happen, it happens quickly and then we can kind of build. But that's not me saying I want Jim out because I'd love nothing more but Jim to stay. But yeah, apart from that, I am very, very good, thank you. And I have been enjoying the sunshine. I mean, up north, it very rarely sunshines. So we've been making the most of it. But there's some fabulous people in the chat as well. I know Alison did put a question early on. I will come to that when we do speak about Rochdale and York. So please don't think I'm ignoring you, Alison. We'll talk a little bit about your question when we get onto those teams in particular. But we do have Chris. Good evening, everyone. We're going down south for this review. We have got as well, also, happy June, everyone. Happy June, yeah. Happy June. And it's raining. All right, everyone. Now it's the best league in the world. Yeah, it is the best league in the world's turn to be spoke about. We had a sad Luke, by the way, with Rob Elliott's departure. It wasn't a happy bunny in the EFL show the other day. As well. Main league tonight. No, never the main league. We love all the leagues equally, don't we? Love them all equally. Chris has put as well, hang on, having problems with my internet. It can see the thumbnail now. And we've got Graham as well. He's put good evening, everyone. Good evening, Graham. Hope you're okay. We've got Johnny as well in the chat. Hi, Shah, Morgan, Rob, and Jen. Hope you all had a great day. We have, thank you. Hope you have too. Oh, don't do it. And yes, can we just take a minute to wish our very own Joe congratulations, because what a fantastic opportunity. But my God, he completely deserves this. We always say how proud we are, and he's so knowledgeable. And yeah, fully deserves his flowers. So well done, Joe. Fantastic news. Fantastic news.
Proud of him. Hopefully you
Very
saw our
proud.
tweet we put out. He's one of our own. He's one of our own.
I love it. I love it. We've got as well. Oh, Luke has done 86 matches this season. Tell you what, some doing to say you're in Gateshead as well. Some
Wonder how
doing.
many nils there were in that.
I know. And how many were 0-0, Luke? I'd be really intrigued to know. But we do have to start somewhere. We are doing like we usually do. So if anybody hasn't seen these kind of shows before, these are our season reviews. If you want to catch up on National League North, National League South, you can on this channel. Very similar to how this one's going to be ran. So we're going to go through the teams. It's 24 all the way up to 1. Can we just say as well, fantastic graphics as well from our very own Sam. He's worked so hard doing these. They look amazing. There may be a couple of mistakes here and there because he's only human. But yes, we are going to start with 24, and it is Truro City. And I am going to point out as well, as always, there may have been some managerial changes throughout the season, but we are ending, the graphic is the manager that's ended that season. So a lot of information to take in, but I forgot to add us all in.
I wonder what happened there.
Just stop.
So I'm keeping you all on your toes. I mean, you did say you all wanted the break, so this is going to be carnage tonight. I'm going to make sure of it. So 24, we do have Truro City. I'm going to come to you first, Morgan, on this one. Truro City, what were your thoughts on them?
They were always going to struggle. They're obviously with the distance as well. I think their shortest journey was up to Yeovil, which was about 2 hours away. The resources were always going to put them at a disadvantage. In my predictions, I'd hope they'd be able to squeeze out 20th and do enough at home. And they gave it a decent go. I mean, but still, they had a negative goal difference at home. They still lost more than half the games at home. So John Askey always had tough job on his hands. And when you come up, your recruitment needs to be so good. And getting players to move down to that far down south is always going to be tough. So they're always going to be fighting an uphill battle. And I think it's one of those teams, they're not the first we've seen come up and go straight back down. I think just the top of the National League South is always going to be their limit, unfortunately.
Yeah, definitely. Jen, I'm going to come to you next. Thoughts on Truro, because we always say, don't we, there is a regular pattern when it comes to those teams at the bottom, unfortunately. And looking at, obviously, Jeff Cott there, 7 goals, which obviously you see that quite often down at the bottom where they do struggle with the goal tally. But fantastic manager in John Askey. What were your thoughts on Truro this season?
I felt like they were a team that, again, were going to struggle because of how far they had to travel. It was just a given that no matter what happened this season, they probably were going to go down. But near the end of the season, they were putting up a fight and they were getting them wins and them draws that they needed. And it wasn't over until it was over. And I must say, personally, I've been to Truro's ground and it is a very, very nice ground. Yes, it's very far away and it's never do it again. I think it took us around 9 hours to get there. So you can imagine for the players how long of a journey they're doing on a Friday day to get there and stay over. But yeah, I feel like it was inevitable that they were going to go down, but hopefully they can bounce straight back up.
Rob, do you have any thoughts on Truro?
Yeah, first of all, the first ever Cornish side to play at the top tier of non-league. So congratulations for that, just for getting there. You know, I, similar to Morgan, actually, I just had them surviving. I had them 20th. And that was largely down to John Askey, who's a very, very good and experienced manager. But they really did lack goals, didn't they? And I was just looking to see how many games Tyler Harvey played, because he was on fire the season before, but for one reason or another, and he may have had some niggles and some injuries, but he played 26 matches and managed just 5 goals. So he struggled to step up a level. Despite being quite an experienced player, I think he was 29, 30 years old this year. They gave it a right good go. They actually managed to draw both games where I saw them against my club, and they were full value, I think, for for what they got this season against us. But yeah, unfortunately, it was too big an ask for them. Just huge amounts of travelling is something that I'm sure Jen can relate to, and Morecambe when we come to that.
Yeah, definitely. Just going back to the chat, we do have Sean who's just joined us. Evening, everyone. Hope all is well. Very well. Thank you so much. We do have a couple of people talking about their own teams as well. So, as I mentioned previously, if you didn't join until now, I promise I am not ignoring you. When we get to your specific team, we will elaborate and your questions we'll answer and we will talk about them because we do have a lot to get through. But we do have a couple of comments on Truro before I can't speak. Before we move on, the sunshine's got to me. So Lucas put, I feel like their location has played a part of their relegation. Trying to attract quality is hard. They did the best, and they did try to show some fight. I agree with that completely. Tell you what, they made it really difficult when we went down there. Not going to lie, they made it really difficult for Dale to play against. Chris has put as well, wasn't too sure where Truro was going to finish this season, really. Yeah, a couple of us thought the same because obviously we knew they would struggle to an extent, but we all kind of thought John Askey, didn't we? And that was the reason that kind of brought us to them finishing just above relegation. Thanks and good evening. Good evening, hope you're okay. So we do have Braintree Town in 23rd. Rob, I'm going to come to you first on this one. Braintree, thoughts on those?
Well, firstly, I'm glad you came to me because I predicted them to finish 23rd. So,
Is it funny?
Yeah, I didn't take any joy from that. I think they're punching above their weight massively. Steve Pitt punching, with a very low budget, very, very difficult, and lots of things behind the scenes, very difficult at Braintree. I don't think he had the best support as a manager, from the rest of his football club. And it was always going to be a difficult fight for them. There were periods in the season where I thought they might survive. And the reason I thought they might survive was because he'd been in exactly the same fight the season before and come through it. But this time, unfortunately, it was a little much for them. Lewis Walker, the top scorer with 10 goals from 35 games, I believe. And an interesting one that I think probably may well stay in the division. I'll wait to see which team snaps him up. But I think if you can score 10 goals in a really struggling side like Braintree, then I can understand a manager in the same division thinking, well, we're going to be a better team than Braintree. We'll come and get 15 to 20 in our side.
Definitely. Completely agree with that. Completely agree. Morgan, do you have any thoughts on Braintree?
Yeah, I felt like, because the year before when they stayed up, as Rob mentioned, they had more quality, and every time they set up in, what I remember, it was a 4-1-4-1, and it worked quite well because they had the two twins. I can't remember their names now. Rob, I feel like you're thinking about it. What are those two twins called? The wingers.
The one that went to Peterborough and the other one was in Colchester.
Yeah, exactly what I'm thinking of.
We're thinking
Trey Cooper as well, I think, is quite good for the level. Matt Robinson was in centre mid as well, and they had Johnny Kinday up front, so it kind of works. They had pace on the wings, they had experience in the middle, and they had Johnny Kinday up top. So the season before, they had a really good structure of how they were going to play, and it kept them up. This year, the two wingers both went to the Football League. Matt Robinson, I think, the Lisby twins.
Tyrell and Kyrie. Yeah,
that's it. Yeah, and Johnny Kinday was a year older. Matt Robinson was in National League South, I believe. So they just lost that structure that they had the year before that kept them up. So they're always going to struggle this year. And Steve Pitt had a job in his hands, so it wasn't going to be easy considering the sum they had. But it'll be interesting to see how they do next year in a competitive National League South.
Jen, do you agree with the guys on Braintree as well?
Yeah, I kind of feel like they've had a lot of off-field issues like we have. It is kind of like the main news of the season for them. So they were always going to kind of struggle with that. But they are a good team. They play very well when we played them. So I think hopefully if they get the right signings in, they can push and try and get back up. But again, it's one of them when you're near the bottom and you haven't got the money or the off-field issues come into play, that becomes the main news of your season. And unfortunately, that's what's happened to Braintree.
Sean made a joke. I didn't even put the joke up, but yeah, it was horrendous, Sean. Not gonna lie. Proper second season syndrome there from Braintree, Luke put. And Chris has mentioned as well, Braintree under a transfer embargo at the moment and just a lot of off-field stuff, maybe the main news of the season. Completely agree with that. So next. Jen, I'm going to come to you first. So 22nd, Morecambe. Speak to us about Morecambe. And wow, I mean, Bulls goals from Jack Nolan. Can we just
Jackie.
give him a clap?
Yeah, he
Haunts
deserves
me, that
it.
guy.
He was, yeah.
Haunts me, Jen.
Yeah. No, it was, I don't know, how do you say this season? It was a difficult but kind of rewarding one, if you get my drift. Like, this last summer was probably the hardest summer, personally, as a fan. It was the hardest 3 months we've ever been through. So for us to even be in the National League playing football was huge for us. And then obviously we played that first game, Altrincham at home, and we won. And suddenly you're thinking, oh, okay, right, what's going on here? Like, is this it? But
Great
then obviously,
well.
yeah,
Great
it was
win.
amazing. But then obviously it fell down, and it wasn't the greatest season. We kept a manager in charge who shouldn't have been in charge for as long as he was. And I generally think, and there's a lot of us that think this, if Jim came in a lot earlier, a hell of a lot earlier, we would have probably survived National League. But it was just too little too late. And every Morecambe fan loves Jim with their own heart. He is Morecambe. He's been there through everything. So for him to come back, it kind of brought the spirit back, and not just the players, but the fans and the staff. Everyone really felt like a family again. Whereas when Ash was in charge, it felt a bit like people are on one side and then some people are on the other side. Whereas when Jim came in, it was a full-on family community. But it was a difficult season. We kind of expected to go down, but when you actually go down, that's when it hits you. I remember it hit me at Carlisle when Carlisle came to play on some Bank Holiday Monday, and we drew that game. Incredible game. Amazing that we drew with Carlisle, but it just wasn't enough. And that's the day that broke me. And I thought, right, that's it. We're relegated to the North. And it's so difficult to think 3 or 4 seasons ago we were in the EFL. We're now in the National League North, and it's hard to take, but at the minute it's looking more positive. We've got a good manager. He knows what he's doing. There's going to be probably some good signings coming through. There's been quite a few Halifax players that have been released, so I expect them to come to Morecambe probably. Let's just put it out there. But yeah, I think it was a hard season, but it was one of them where you loved it, but you hated it at the same time. So we've just got to go into the North and just put our full focus in the North, because I've seen a lot of people, and I don't really want to get ahead of myself, but there's a lot of people on TikTok, on Twitter, on all the socials saying that Morecambe are going to be within the top 6. And if I'm honest, I just want to survive the league. But if we can get anywhere near that, then I'll take it. But it's hard to sit there and think, right, we're going to be the National League North. But again, the positive is there's not as much travelling. Yes, there's a few ones that aren't technically North, but that's what it is. But it's not as much travelling as we did last year. There was way too much travelling, I think, personally. There was a lot of teams further down than us. So, yeah, it was a difficult season, but we managed to get the club sold and try and move on for this. We got Jim Bentley back for 3 months, which is just incredible. We've had some amazing players. Jack Nolan, honestly, don't think he'll come back to us. And wherever he goes, I generally wish him the best because he was our key player throughout the season. And honestly, he's such a nice guy as well. So, yeah, it was a difficult one, but we'll be back.
Rob, I'm going to come to you next on Morecambe. What were your thoughts on them?
Well, firstly, let's clear one thing up. We all had Morecambe in our relegation positions because at the time that we made them, it was still being pulled together, Jen, wasn't it? You know,
Yeah.
and we didn't even know for sure if they were going to be in. They actually eventually made a pretty good fight of it, and Jen's 100% right. I think 6 to 8 more games in charge or anything more than that. And I think they'd have, you know, they could have potentially done a Gateshead, if you like. We'll come on to Gateshead, obviously, in time. But Jack Nolan, for me, I was just trying to think whether to say top 10 or even top 6 players in the division. Absolutely outstanding. And you've got 66 goals scored there. And he scored nearly a third of them as well. He was a magnificent player. Unfortunately, collectively, with the original manager that took the helm, I think he was woefully lacking in experience. And sometimes that's not a reason not to give someone a job. Adam Lakeland's probably a really good example of someone who's really forging a reputation now. But at one point, somebody took a chance on him, didn't they? So it was a shame. But I think we all talk about boards getting rid of managers far too quickly and far too freely. And this is the one standout example of where they got it wrong the other way. And they left the incumbent manager in too long. I can't really, other than that, add much to what Jen said. Other than Jen, we thoroughly wish Morecambe all the best for next season. And if the mentality can be turned around, and I'm sure Adam Lakeland will do that, it could be quite an exciting season for you. And he obviously believes that if and when Morecambe come back up to this level, they'll be in a better position to try and push upwards than the team that he was at.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's so true. Before I come to you, Morgan, I'm just going to read this comment out what Luke's put. So it's put, Ashveer Singh appointment had killed Morecambe, but Jim came in, tried his best, but it was just too little too late. But Adam Lakeland appointment is promising for Morecambe. Just going to read a couple more of the comments and then I will come to you. Jim in at Christmas would have given Morecambe a very good chance. Yeah, everyone's in agreement with that one. Sean has put this, bless him. He'll be back in the EFL in no time, Jem. Mark my words. You can clip that. We will clip that, Sean. We will. Hopefully, because you'll be right. Sorry to say, but welcome to the North, Jen. But hope you do go back up in the National League. That is what Chris has put. But Morgan, have you got anything else to add on the Morecambe season? Sorry.
I think they were just always on the back foot because they were waiting for the takeover to go through, and obviously you then miss games because of everything. One of the biggest things that kills a team or makes a team good is recruitment, and you need to be planning it by the end of the previous season. With so many question marks hanging over the club, you weren't going to get it right, and then obviously it was a bit of a scattergun approach. You started with one. You had Jamal Blackman at one point, and then changed or Archmere, and then went to Jamal Blackman.
Yeah.
You had players constantly coming in now, some that got a few minutes, some that obviously stuck around, like Jack Nolan was given a chance and excelled. So it was just a bit of a scattergun approach, and obviously it doesn't help when you've got an inexperienced manager like Ashveer Singh trying to piece it all together. Jim would have struggled with that many players and that lack of stability himself, but he would have given you a better fighting chance. But I feel like I'm just going over what other people have said. Like, the recruitment was poor, it was all a bit scattergun, and an experienced manager would have given you a chance. But Adam Lakeland in National League North will give you a good chance. It's a very, very tough league, as we talked about last week. But yeah, you should have a better chance next season than you've just had this year.
Yeah. Chris has also added to that. Got a new ground to tick off as well in the new season, which I always enjoy visiting new places. Remember, Chris, you're not allowed to go to America this time. So every time you do, Spenny Moore do really bad. So next up, 21st, we do have Brackley Town. Morgan, I'm going to come to you first on Brackley. What are your thoughts on Brackley's season?
Really disappointing second half of the year. I thought the first half they gave a decent fight and we played them away and we beat them 3-2, but their defence was holding up quite well and they were giving a bit of a fight. They were always going to struggle this year after failing to get promoted on so many occasions. They finally got into the top tier of non-league football and it was never going to be easy for them, but they gave it a really good go. And then Shrewsbury came in and took their manager, whose name is escaping me right now. But Shrewsbury came in. He then went and did a really good job up in the Football League. They hired Andy Wing, who we all know, very good manager. He got Solihull to Wembley twice, and it just never really clicked. And the second half of the season, things just fell apart. They were always going to struggle with goals. And the fact that Connor Hall got 6, joint top scorers with 6. It was just, and Connor Hall's been a good player in non-league. He was good at Chorley. Didn't really work at Solihull. You'd thought you'd get a bit more and do a bit more, but it just never really clicked for them, especially in the second half of the season. Needed more goals and should have really given themselves more of a fight down the stretch.
Is it Gavin?
Gav Cowan.
That's
Yeah.
it. Very good manager.
I was like, he's called Gavin, but what's his last name?
Yeah, Gav Cowan. Someone I remember from his days back.
Yeah,
his team, Telford. He was there for a while as well.
Yes. Right. Chris has got it as well. But Rob, what were your thoughts on Brackley season?
I think the mix of managers is the interesting thing here. I think they played a certain way under Gav Cowan, and they didn't lose many. They didn't concede many. And I think had he stayed there, had they been able to keep him, I think they probably would have finished whatever 17th, 18th, 19th. I think they might just have been okay. But they picked a good manager, a manager we all respect in Andy Wing, but a manager who likes to play slightly different way and probably tried to play that way too soon, but he couldn't get that tune out of them. In the end, they still made a real fight of it and they got quite close to surviving. But I think ultimately their away form cost them to only manage three wins all season on the road. They actually dispatched my own side quite comfortably on the last day of the season. It's a game I was looking forward to. It wasn't my first visit to St James Park, but it was my second. But it was really local for me. It's about a 45-minute drive, and there's a lovely little place, and I've forgotten the name of it now, in the town, that everyone was saying, oh, you got to go there and have a little pre-match bite and everything. And it's a lovely club. They win the most hospitable club of the season award from me, mainly because 3 or 4 different people who work at that club, one in media, one in reception, one that was involved in a different way. You know, they all really surprised me with just how warm and friendly they were, how genuine they were. So that probably isn't a huge consolation to them, but I wanted to say it anyway.
Yeah.
And just a final comment, which I did cover in one of our previous pods, is just the apology. Our chairman's also apologised now for a comment he made about Brackley, which was inadvertently a little bit derogatory. I've had a little exchange with the guy who runs the media at Brackley as well about that, and we've cleared it up as best we can. But we wish Brackley well in the north with Jen's side next season.
No, definitely. Still gives me PTSD. 11 changes, Jim. 11 changes. I just had to get that out there in the season review. That's all I'm going to say about it now, but I had to bring it up. Jen, do you have any thoughts on Brackley?
I just feel like everyone said they had like a great first half of the season, and then it just dropped. And like you said, top goal scorer, 6 goals, and it's 2 people. It's not enough to survive in the National League. You need someone that's bagging 30, 40 goals in to be able to survive in this league. So yeah, I think it was inevitable that they were going to go down after the second half of the season.
Yeah, I completely agree. Just quickly in the chat as well, Chris has put Brackley did a Chorley this season, 1 season in the National League and then back down again, and not a fun place to go to on a Tuesday night. Well, you'll be going there, Chris, unless you're in America again. He's been banned, literally. He's banned himself at this point. So every time he goes to America, they go on such a bad run. Gav Cowan going straight to Shrewsbury had really affected them. Started off really well, but the second half of the season, nightmare, made them drop. Yeah, I completely agree with that one. This made me laugh as well. Sam, evening team, can't wait to see who got promoted in the National League. It's been avoiding the spoilers all season. It'll be a very nice surprise. Sam, who did the thumbnail though? Who did the thumbnails? Me and Morgan by the looks of it. But we do have, it's only one man for this one now. So in 20th position, we have Aldershot Town. So I will come to you first, Rob. Aldershot Town.
He's not here.
Internet's playing up now.
Sorry. Can't hear you. Sorry.
Breaking up.
Okay, yeah, John Coleman, his face is up there. The season, of course, started with Tommy Widrington. And we also had Alan Dowson in charge temporarily as well. I don't think it's really hit me until now, which is really bizarre. But because we're sitting here now just over the year since Aldershot lifted the FA Trophy at Wembley, one of the biggest highs in their 100-year history as a football club, that seems the biggest shame. Now, obviously, if you're Jen sat there or Brackley or Braintree, you know, you're thinking, well, what have you got to worry about? You're still in the division. But to be honest, even with a bottom half budget and even with some of the misfortune we had, and all teams have their misfortune, but I think we had a ridiculous injury situation. It was varying between 9 and 16 players injured the whole season. We came into the season with 4 long-term injuries. That you might criticise as a decision should you have kept all of those players on. Yeah. Within this, somehow there's a bit of a crazy roller coaster. We were, until a third of the way into the season, we were the top scorer, or quarter of the way into the season, we were the top scorers in the division. We also, at one point in the season, the run that kept us up, won 8 games on the trot, which I think might have been a club record. But overall, we lost more games at home than the club has ever lost in its history in a season, in 14. And we conceded 87 goals, which is more goals than the club has ever conceded in a season as well. Bizarrely, I was richly entertained throughout the whole season. But I know a lot of Aldershot supporters are fed up with me saying that. It's not enough. It's not enough just to see goals flying in here, there and everywhere. It's a disappointing season for Aldershot. And the only other positive I can think to say at the moment is that Scotty Davis coming in to take the reins for next season probably doesn't need to achieve an awful lot more to have a better season, you know, to strengthen things. The man in your picture there, Ryan Hill, got 9 goals, and that, having played most of the season at right back, to be honest with you, he was our penalty taker, and I think he scored 6 or 7 from the spot. But yeah, you might argue that how on earth can a team that was the top scorers in the division for a quarter of the season end up with their top scorer only getting 9 goals? The reason is they were shared around an awful lot. But yeah, I can't defend it, really. I'm not going to blame Tommy. I'm not going to blame John. I think overall it wasn't good enough, but those managers gave their all. And the players probably, as a collective, despite the adversity, probably should have achieved a little bit better than this.
Yeah, I agree with that. Does anybody else have any thoughts on Aldershot? And then I'll get to the chat.
Rob, I know on one of these podcasts a while ago, you said that it was almost a tale of 3 seasons rolled into one. And that's kind of, I remember when you said it, and that just kind of stuck with me. Every time I looked at your results, it was like you had that stretch where you won 8 out of 10 and that kept you up. But up until that point, you were really struggling. And then after that, it all fell apart. And that run, you had some really nice fixtures and you were able to put together the results you needed. But after that, you then had some really tough fixtures again and weren't able to get the momentum back. And before that, I know you really struggled with fixtures. But I know when Aldershot came to York and remember I sat with you at half-time for BBC Surrey and we had a bit of a discussion about that game. It was 1-1. I don't understand you weren't 3-1 up that day by half-time. And that felt like such the story of your season up to that point, because that was about November, that game.
Yeah.
And it just felt like every time you turn up, and Shara, I think you said the same thing when Aldershot turned up to Dale, played really well, didn't get a result.
Did. One of the best teams I've seen, like apart from obviously we've seen yourselves and stuff, but one of the best teams I've seen play at Scotland, I don't call it the Crown Isle, by the way, play at Scotland still throughout the whole season they were. Even Wealdstone as well, when Wealdstone came to ours.
Yeah, I feel like that was just Aldershot's issue. You turn up, play quite well, not get the goals you needed. Obviously, Ryan Hill didn't even get double figures. You weren't scoring enough. And obviously, in previous seasons, you had Tolaj and who's the other one? You had those two like firing the goals for you. But it just seemed to dry up this year. And obviously, then Witherington lost his job. You tried Coleman, did enough to stay up. But yeah, it's not good enough, really.
100%. Nothing to add. Just completely agree with you. Yeah.
What about you, Jen? Still the same as the other two?
Yeah, I'd probably agree. It's one of them, isn't it? Like when you get the runs together, like Morgan said, and you get them 8-10 wins, it's enough to keep you up. But as a fan, you'd be disappointed in the season that you've had, and you want to look forward to next season and be nowhere near the relegation zone, in my opinion.
Just going to read I know. Just going to read the comments. Spenny fan Chris for Alder shot themselves in the foot this season. Not a great season. We've got as well. This made me laugh. It's John Coleman, but it's Aldershot's manager Ross Kemp with glasses on.
Someone get Ross Kemp in glasses.
Proper cracked me up. And Danny as well. This was right. Aldershot were 3-2, 2-3 merchants early on. Great value for the fans. Was it great value, Rob?
Yeah, it was. It's not the value they want. I can only look at it from my point of view, which was in the commentary box. And so I got some wildly exciting games to commentate on, and hopefully I did them justice. But yeah, I'd rather, if we're going to finish 20th, I'd rather finish 20th the way we did, gung-ho, giving it a right good go, than lots and lots of nil-nils and too many draws and all the rest of it, But I'll be honest and say this. As a fan, the fan in me now has had enough of those seasons now. Has been we've been consistently inconsistent in that we've been doing this under the last 3 managers now. I think it will be different this year. I already feel that Aldershot under Scotty Davis are going to play in a certain way with an identity. It's going to be uncompromising. I do think probably we will still concede quite a lot of goals, but I think we won't. What some people call side to side or tippy tap or whatever. I don't think we'll worry too much about being easy on the eye, which Aldershot have been in recent seasons. Everyone's gone, oh yeah, they look a good team. I don't think Scotty will care. If he gets a couple of powerful runs up the wing and the ball in the net and wins 2-1, he'll be happy. And I think the Shots fans will be too.
So we are going to come to 19th and we have Sutton United. Morgan, I'm going to come to you first on Sutton. What were your thoughts on them this season?
I mean, before we went live, we were talking about our pre-season predictions. Me and Rob both had them in and around the playoffs. Their pre-season, their summer recruitment looked really promising. The manager called Lewis Simple, which I thought was quite impressive. And they came down the year before with Forest Green and they finished mid-table. All right, cool. That's a really solid base to build upon. Because some teams, they fall straight through. We've seen Scunthorpe do it, York do, obviously Morecambe this year. We see some teams completely fall through the National League. But Sutton, they came down, finished about mid-table, and they looked pretty solid. And I thought that's a good base to build upon. Steve Morrison seemed to have his feet under him and kind of know what he was doing at that club. But they just never really kicked on. Things started really slowly, and they just could never really get it going. They eventually pulled the trigger and replaced Steve Morrison with Chris Agata, and you're thinking he did well in National League South. Worthing, what can you do here? And he kept them up. They finished 19th, but they didn't really have the second half resurgence that I thought they might under Chris Agata. Obviously, they missed Will Davies as well, who left for Fleetwood a year or two ago. And it's just things just never really clicked. It'll be interesting to see kind of what happens this summer, because I think Lewis Simper is out of contract, and I think he's leaving. So with him being their best player by far, obviously top goal scorer, very, very talented midfielder, it'll be interesting to see what their summer looks like, and if they are then finishing around 19th next year as well.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think I had them in and around the playoffs as well, being quite honest. I think, though, don't quote me on that one, but probably, because my predictions are always awful. Jen, I will come to you next on Sutton. What were your thoughts this season? Were you expecting them to be this far down the table, or did you have them up there contending for playoffs?
I'm pretty sure for my predictions they were up and in and around the playoffs. I just thought with the off season that they had and the recruitment that they had, that they'd be somewhere near the playoffs, maybe not go up, but be near it. Yeah. Whereas obviously a couple of spaces down from being relegated, it's not what the fans wanted and the players, anybody behind the scenes wanted. So it's a very disappointing season for them. And I think honestly they need to do some real hard thinking during this off season to make sure they are not in this situation next year.
It's just cracking me up, Luke. It's literally like the managers. John Wick, Keanu Reeves. Keanu Reeves. Rob, thoughts on Sutton? Because as Morgan did out you as well as him, as well as me, I think we had them a lot further up the table than they obviously finished. So, what were your thoughts on the season? Very underwhelming, wasn't it?
Yeah, very underwhelming. I think they moved quite early in the transfer market, and they made some eye-catching signings. Didn't necessarily quite pan out for them, though. The one person that picture doesn't look like to me is Chris Agutter. I met him and spoke to him for a couple of times, but I think it is him. Don't get me wrong.
No, I think it is. Yeah.
His hair looks a lot darker than I remember when I met him. But interestingly enough, I probably learnt more about Sutton when they came to the EBB towards the end of the season. And it's really unusual, actually, because normally when you wait, and I waited quite patiently as he was having a post-match chat with somebody from his coaching staff, and I waited a while to interview him for the podcast. And in the end, the interview for the podcast was about 4 minutes. But after we stopped recording, me and Chris talked for about another 10 on the pitch. And
love that.
He was really, really open about where he felt they were lacking and what he felt they needed next season. And I think he said they had the youngest squad in the division, and he definitely felt that they needed more experience. And I think he's already set about signing that. The only other point to add is their home and away form is close to identical, isn't it? It's very, very similar.
Yeah, Graham spotted that. Yeah.
And I just have to talk about Lewis Simper, like I did Jack Nolan. Both the games that Aldershot played Sutton, they both ended up in draws. I do think Sutton were quite fortunate to get 2 draws against Aldershot, if I'm honest. And Chris admitted that at the EBB. He was thoroughly delighted with the point that day. He accepted that Sutton were the second best of the 2 sides. But Lewis Simper is wonderful to watch. He's one of those rare players at this level that genuinely can go either way on either foot. And he's got such sublime. There were times I thought, he's got a wonderful left foot. And I'm thinking, I think his right foot might just about be as sweet, Wonderful player. Be very surprised to see him playing in the National League next season, because he's in and amongst that top 6, top 8 players in the division for me.
I was going to come to Jen next on the next team, but she's not here. She's not here. 19th, though, we do have Gateshead. Morgan, I will come to you first again on this one. 18th, I think. Did I say 19th? 18th. Yeah, I can't remember what I've said, to be honest. But yeah, 18th Gateshead. Speak to us, Morgan. I know Luke's happy now.
Rob Elliott masterclass. It's all I really have to say. They were awful. Yeah. Was it 18 games in a row? 18 games in a row without a win. They beat Wimbledon in the FA Cup first round in what was possibly the biggest shock of that round, to be honest. Yeah. Going down to London to face a League One team and beating them 2-0. And then they just went on that horrendous run where they just could not get anything going at all. But yeah, Rob Elliott came in and gave them a little bit of life. And it must just be such a kicker for Gateshead fans, because he's done this before. Obviously, Mike Williamson left, and then Rob Elliott took over. Then Rob Elliott left, and then obviously Rob Elliott came back. It must just be such a kicker of they've given these managers a platform. They've done well, and then as soon as they've been platformed and done well, they've left straight away. It feels like no one really wants to stick around at Gateshead. Obviously, they've got the ownership issues. They've had the stadium issues. It seems like there's a lack of investment, a lack of really care, which from like upstairs at Gateshead feels like there's just this lack of effort going on with the amount of players they've left, the amount of players they've lost, and then this kind of circle of recruitment's just not being replaced. So it feels like it was just been slipping. It took a miracle to keep them up. It'll be really interesting to see kind of what happens over the summer, and if by, I don't know, November they're rock bottom again and we're having the same conversation if they need a miracle. And does Rob Elliott go back? Does Mike Williamson go back? Like, what happened to get them out of this? Or is their time going to come and they drop into National League North by the end of next season?
I agree, completely agree. Rob, I'm going to come to you next.
Yeah, I mean, 18th, ironically, is there or thereabouts where I had them to finish. I had them 19th. But I didn't foresee the season going like this. I felt they'd had one too many good managers and one too many good players sucked out of them and off to other teams. And I just wondered if sooner or later, you know, how could they keep doing it? How could they keep redefining themselves? I thought it might be a long, hard season for them. It was, but for different reasons, as we know. And then Rob Elliott has come in and quite frankly done a fantastic job. They've had the ownership issues. Yeah. But he really knows what he's doing, that guy, because when he came back in, it wasn't just a question of improving things on the pitch. He knew where he needed to replace, where he needed to strengthen. He seemed to get as much clout out of his board as anybody else to back him and get players back to the club or into the club. But there was a few backs in there coming back to the club, including himself. And I think I told this story on the pod before, so I'll keep it brief. But after they secured their safety, getting their 50th point away at Aldershot, I walked back to the station, or I walked halfway back to the station with him and pointed him and Lewis Story. I pointed them in the right direction for the train station because everyone else was off back to Gateshead and they were off back to wherever they live. And, you know, I had to doff my cap to them. Unbelievable run. And probably the only team comparable really in terms of extreme different fortunes with Aldershot's run of 3. Gateshead was just one huge, horrible run followed by a ridiculously good run in which they were in top 3 form for the last couple of months and actually survived with a few weeks to go. Crazy, really. I think there'd probably been a time, Jen. I mean, obviously you're going to come to Jen next anyway, aren't you? But there'd have been a time where these were one of the sides you were battling to try and finish above Morecambe, for Morecambe to finish above, Jen. But they just went out of sight, didn't they?
Yeah, Gateshead were one of the main teams that we were focusing on during obviously the relegation battle, and they were kind of that team that was like, oh, maybe we'll be above them and we'll survive. And then all of a sudden they just went on this massive win, right? And it was just incredible. I must give huge credit to Gateshead for managing to do that. As a fan, I think I'd be on the floor personally because that's just a lot to deal with. But fair play to him for surviving because not a lot of teams can do that. It shows the character behind the scenes for the players, the managing, everything. It shows that they weren't ready to give up yet. And it's incredible what they've done. It really is. And like they say, they got the right manager in at the right time. If we would have done that, then maybe we'd be in the same position as Gateshead right now.
Yeah, just going back to the chat as well, Graham said exactly the same, if I can find his comment. Where Morecambe left it too late to change manager, Gateshead got the timing right. That was so true, wasn't it? So true. Just checking as well, Luke. Are you still on the floor like Jen said?
It's CPR.
90 goals conceded. That's 2 a game.
Crazy, isn't it?
And stayed up by 3 places. That's just ridiculous.
Mental, absolutely mental. Chris has put as well, he'd just so much off the field issues and trying to get a squad together before the season, and now this off season is another rebuild. I feel like at the moment every season is a rebuild for Gateshead, bless him, isn't it? Really is true. I'm just going to Luke's comments. There is a few, bless him. He has put, so tough first half of the season for us, but since Rob Elliott came back, it's been turned on its head by achieving the greatest of great escapes in football. He's also gone on to say, true rollercoaster of emotions throughout the season, but that Rob Elliott appointment saved us from the drop. Shame to see him go in the way he did, honestly, but I'm hoping that Louis Story, former assistant gaffer, can take the reins as player manager, hopefully. Good shout, to be fair. My highlight of the season has to be that Wimbledon win in the FA Cup and our 3-1 win against York. That was my highlight of the season, but then we went and blew it the day after against Scunthorpe, I'm pretty sure it was. But thanks anyway, Luke. Do appreciate that.
Yeah, what a fun night out that. I made the decision to go about 4 p.m. and then was not happy at full time.
We played so well that game, though, Gateshead. I was watching them and thought, wow. Honestly, they played incredible. He's also put to, we sell our good players to get money into the club because getting 800 plus crowds won't help you to survive as a football club. That's true. That's really true. It's so sad as well that they don't get the crowds because they're a great club, a really good club, in my opinion.
I think there was one crowd. I think there was one crowd. Oh, sorry, Shai, you're going to read one.
Oh, no, it's okay. It just made me laugh, that comment.
Yeah,
Great,
I think there was one crowd of 550 or 51.
Yeah, it's about that.
50 odd from Boreham Wood. And one of the things it always staggers me. I said to them, well, you're literally just across the Tyne Bridge here. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, surely when Newcastle are away, you must get a chunk of their supporters come and support you. And they said, no, very, very few, which is a real shame. I don't know why that is, whether it's historical and why they can't do something about it. But you would think that Gateshead as a football club would do so much more to try and engage Newcastle fans. Maybe Luke, in your comments, when you get a chance to reply, Luke, you can tell us why that is, because you see it in so many other big cities, don't you? Where when the big teams are away, they come and support the local non-league teams or lower division teams.
I think it's almost a lack of almost neglect from the board. Like, there's so many issues there. Obviously, they had they didn't have the lease that meant that they couldn't play in the playoffs. Like, that should have been pretty easily sorted. They've had this constant revolving door of players and managers when players have been taken or managers have been taken and not replaced them properly. I feel like this is just another part of it. They've got this massive stadium that isn't really ideal for football, and they've never really done much to actually try and appeal to other people. I just feel like there's a lack of care from Gateshead. They almost seem happy finishing 18th in the National League and kind of that's their ceiling. As long as they're in the National League, they're happy. I feel like there's just a lack of ambition and a bit of neglect from the board because they could be doing so much more to tap into the area in terms of player recruitment with the amount of clubs that are in the Northeast and the Yorkshire area, and then the marketing side of it off the pitch to try and get more people to Gateshead International, because with prices and stuff like that, Newcastle tickets are really expensive now that they've been taken over by the Saudi ownership and they're doing a lot better. So people will want that cheaper football. Gateshead should be tapping into that because, as you said, it's just across the bridge. It's really easy to do on Metro. I don't know, they should just be doing a bit more to try and attract people. I feel like they're just getting neglected by a board that doesn't seem too bothered in taking them this step further.
Just before we move on as well, I know she was in the chat. I don't know if she still is. But Dreety has just posted that she joined the Absolute Football podcast a year ago today. So, wow, so proud of Dreety. Like, Jen, we love Dreety, don't we?
Yeah.
And from obviously her starting off being in our chat and things, and just to see her confidence and to see her grow and grow. And it's just fantastic. And yeah, happy 1 year anniversary on the Absolute Football podcast, Dreety. Oh, love it. But next we do have in 17th position Eastleigh. Anybody want to take Eastleigh and speak about them first?
Go on then.
Go on, Rob.
As it's another Hampshire club, I ought to.
Yeah.
First point to make: Aaron Blair stepped up from National League South and was amongst the top scorers in this division. An absolute pest, a natural born finisher. I think he scored in both games against Aldershot, home and away. He himself did very, very well, but Eastleigh as a club, 17th was not where they anticipated finishing when they put their budget together for last season or many of the seasons before. Something is always missing at Eastleigh. They've changed their manager now, of course. Richard Hill stepped in for the latter part of the season, but prior to that, of course, they'd been through Scotty Bartlett, wasn't it? Who they got from
Western.
From Western, who's now gone to Bath. And it's underachievement all the way round, really. And I don't know why it is. I've not been able to put my finger on it. Do they not attract the right kind of players, the players that maybe play for the badge rather than the wage? That might be a bit harsh, but it might be the case in a few places. And Matty Gray's now got an opportunity to go in and prove that he is still a good manager. Only had 2 clubs, of course, and he's had a terrific record with Sutton, getting them up, and then a really poor half a season or so with Eastbourne last year, who eventually went down. So definitely one of the biggest underachievers, and I'm going to put my hand up and admit that I picked them to finish 8th in the National League last year. So, so I got it wrong with them as well.
I was just going to say as well, to anybody who is intrigued to know our predictions, I will send them out in the chat, and then if anybody wants to post them, or if we all agree, we can do something fun on like Twitter or something and have a laugh at our predictions if anybody would rather do that. But yeah, we'll do something just so we can all see what we put. But yeah, Graham's put nice ground at Eastleigh, and Sam has also put Eastleigh have some work to do season after season, tails off after early promise. That's because you boo the coach, Sam. He's the hooligan that boos the coach. Jen, do you have any thoughts on Eastleigh?
I just feel like Eastleigh's the kind of that team that's always just there. Like they're just in the league. They're not really at the bottom, at the top. They're kind of just there in the middle. And I think personally, they should be near the top. I don't know what goes on behind the scenes for them not to be pushing to get promoted, to be in the playoffs. I just feel like they're a team that shouldn't really be in the National League, and whatever's going on needs to be fixed during the off season, or again they could be in a worse position next season.
Morgan?
I also had them finishing up around the playoffs. I had them finishing 6th, so I was miles off it. But I was quite excited by their front 3, kind of what it looked like in pre-season, with Aaron Bless coming in from Maidstone. He had a great year. Tyree Shade before he left for Burton Albion, who looked like one of the best wingers in the National League last season. It was a matter of time until he left if they weren't able to keep hold of him. And Paul McCullum, who only 2 or 3 years ago scored 31, I think it was, in a league season, who then ended up at Dorking in National League South, and he's not been able to refine that form. So you look at their front 3 and the amount of money that they can spend. I know, Rob, you've said they've got a decent budget for where they are. They spend some quite nice money, and they had a nice front 3 before the start of the season. Then obviously Shade leaves for Burton just before the season starts, and at that point your optimism starts to fade, and then Paul McCullum never really gets going. So there's kind of shoots of optimism, especially with Aaron Blair being as good as he is, but I think they had 2 years in a row of going through 3 managers in a season. They've just seemed to have lacked stability, so this might be Matt Gray's chance to do it. Obviously, you got Sutton into the Football League, so I don't know if he can kind of rebuild them, but they need 1 season with 1 manager and some foundations to actually be put in place for them to go anywhere.
I'm looking at Luke's comment again about the picture.
Moving on now. I'm going to come to you first, Morgan, on this one. So we do have Yeovil Town in 16th. What were your thoughts on their season?
They said Mark Cooper in charge, he was a little bit boring for them. And I know kind of Yeovil fans were waiting for him to be sacked. They finally did. They pulled the trigger and brought in Billy Rowley, who honestly I didn't know much about. He was doing well at Walton Hersham in the 8th tier. He was doing quite well down there and came in. I thought there'd be more of a resurgence, but it seemed like the squad was just kind of miles off it when you look at their retained list and everything after that. They've kept together a really nice core. I think Luke McCormick's there next season. They've got, was it Jones they brought in from Aldershot, Rob, at the back end of the season?
Jones,
yeah, Ryan Jones, he came in. They've got James Daly, who's played for Wrexham and Harrogate. They've made a couple of nice signings already this off-season. So I thought they'd have more, they'd kick on a little bit more. They were never really in trouble of going down. There were always going to be 4 teams worse than them, but that away form of 16 losses is just never going to be good enough. So next season they could be back towards the playoff push. Former championship side, they'll be thinking better of themselves being kind of floundering near the bottom half of National League. But a season of staying still for Yeovil, but they didn't go down and they'll be looking to push on.
Jen, do you have any thoughts on Yeovil Town?
Yeah, I agree with everything, to be fair. It's the away losses. Like, you can't be going away and losing 16 games. That's like, there is 4 worst teams in the league, but at the end of the day, 16 losses away just isn't good enough, especially if you want to be a team that's pushing up. I just feel like next season they really, really need to focus and get some good signings through the door, or else they could be in the same position again.
They got the same amount of away losses as Truro did.
Honestly.
Yeah. Seen you. Just looking, I've got the graphics on here as well, so I've got them more zoomed in. Yeovil Town.
Yeah, I've got a feeling that it was great to see someone like Billy Rowley get a job in the top tier of non-league. I think he'd been really catching the eye with Walton and Hersham, who've managed to finish off the season well enough to get up to the National League South next year. I sensed that Billy Rowley was in charge of a team that didn't really play the way he wants to play. And I saw in some of his post-match interviews a certain amount of frustration with that. And I don't think he ever come out and kind of threw anybody under the bus. But I think let's judge Billy Rowley on how he does next season. I think he more than has earned the opportunity to build his own side at Yeovil. If you look at the likes of people like Ryan Jones, that was a great signing, really. He is based in the Southwest, and it's actually a good move for all parties, really. Ryan was going to go at the end of the season anyway. Aldershot thought, well, we might as well get a little fee for him now. And he's been able to settle in. On his day, he can set a stadium alight, Ryan Jones. He's a rare breed these days, and someone who can pick up the ball and dribble with it. You know, Liam Humbles is another one that I think of that's like that, just so direct. I think it'd be an interesting one. I did predict them to finish 14th. They finished 16th. So, much of muchness. Sometimes I feel it's a little bit untapped, the potential there at Yeovil at Hewish Park. I think if they can get it going with a good manager and an exciting team, and they can start to get the 4,500, 5,000, 6,000 crowds in at Hewish Park, they could be a real force to be reckoned with. Let's see what sort of side Billy puts together for next season.
Yeah, I completely agree with that.
I've just checked. It was Zane Westbrook they signed last week. He was at Scunthorpe last year. Very, very talented player for the level. Yeah. He was on loan from Doncaster, Westbrook. So he's already started to get someone in of that quality. I know there was kind of some talks of him doing some unofficial scouting and some talks at Walton Hersham's end of year dinner, I think it was. There was some slightly strange things going on down there, but to get Zane Westbrook in, very, very good start to the summer.
Yeah, completely agree. Jen, I am going to come to you next. So 15th, we have Wealdstone. What were your thoughts on Wealdstone's season? Because they had a real good start, didn't they, to be fair?
Yeah, they had an incredible start, and then it just kind of slowly dipped off during the middle to the end of the season. And it wasn't enough. I think I either put them to be relegated or near the playoffs. I can't remember exactly.
To be relegated.
And I just think they're such a team that should be near the top and should be in the playoffs, but somehow always end up either in the middle or near the relegation zone. And I just think them 11 wins are incredible at home, but then you're going away and you're losing 14 games. Like, yeah, you can win at home, but you also need to get points on the board away, and it wasn't enough this season for them.
Just before we move on, Claire, don't be coming in taunting me up the Dale when you're after me manager.
Trying to soften the blow.
Come on. But thank you. Rob, Wealdstone.
One of my 3 most embarrassing predictions of the evening. I had them in the bottom 4. Thankfully, I got 3 out of the 4 right. But it's always difficult for them because they are still a part-time football club. Cap doffed to Sam Cox to the wonderful start they had to the season.
Yeah.
Obviously, we saw Sam Cox on Baller League towards the end of the season. But he did have a good job. He wasn't able to sustain it. Gary Waddock also came in and gave them a really good finish as well. The dip was in the middle. They got to Wembley as well. Pretty fantastic season, really, all the way around for Wealdstone. I think 15th is more than respectable for them. One of only 2 or 3 part-time sides in the division.
Yeah.
And perhaps the surprise of the season amongst the top scorers, Micah Obiero, who just grew in confidence into the role. A couple of people was talking about him with a couple of people and said he wasn't actually, prior to this season, he wasn't an out-and-out centre forward, but he's become one, and he looks very, very comfortable with it too. So pleased for Wealdstone. One of my favourite clubs, and I don't know many people that have many negative words to say about them, to be honest with you. Lovely club. Long may they continue to bat at this level. If not, put the wind right up us with a playoff season at some point.
I'm going to really, really miss playing Wealdstone because, especially the group of lads that always travel, obviously to every away game, they're the same group of lads that always come to, obviously, Rochdale, and there's so much banter. There's such a good laugh as well, and they're one of them teams that they're always singing no matter what. But yeah, I feel exactly the same with Wealdstone. Not a bad word to say about them, and yeah, they did brilliant. And Gary Waddock as well. I really, really do like him. But Morgan, do you have any thoughts on Wealdstone?
I was going to say they're one of the most hospitable clubs I've been to this season. We went there back in February, 1-3-0, but just everyone around the club, the catering, everything, they properly look after you. It's a really, really nice club. I'm really happy they got to Wembley. Yeah. Surprised Sam Cox got sacked. I thought he'd done a really good job up to that point. Obviously, it started to tail off, but the year before, I thought Sam Cox done really well. So I'm surprised by that. I think that, Rob, I know you said they struggle being part-time. I think they're possibly one of the best run and most successful part-time sides we'll see because of their catchment area. They just hoover up anyone in around London that wants to stay semi-pro and still make a good wage, because you can work in London, play semi-pro for them at a good level. And yeah, I think they've almost perfected the part-time model because of where they are, because of the catchment area. They play nice football. Their pitch is always really good. It's on a bit of a slope, but it does allow for some nice football to be played, so they can hoover up the best of non-league football in the south of England, put together what can be quite a young squad, a decent development team as well. Like, they've had some players like Charles, you'll know, Taran Alaraki has started at Wealdstone, or made his name at Wealdstone before getting the move to Dale. So they've always been in quite a good place, and 15th in a Wembley appearance is almost the perfect season for Wealdstone. Obviously, it would have been better for them had they won it and won the FA Trophy, but you can't ask for anything more, really, can you? Fifth, like, solid National League season and a Wembley appearance is perfect for them. Great club.
Just a little... Sorry,
Rob. No, go on, you were right.
Just a little footnote on Wealdstone, and Gary alluded to this in one or two of his late season interviews. It's a real predicament for them. Of course, he's come in. He wants them as a team and as a club to progress, but they do have a really difficult decision to make because, as Morgan pointed out, they are able to get the cream of part-time players in the south. It's as simple as that, really. And they will, if they're going to go full time at any point, then they're going to lose that little niche that they've got. So if and when they do it, they need to do it right. So, and I know Gary's very respectful of that. He's a proper gentleman, a proper human being. And I know I mentioned it on the pod after the FA Trophy, but for me, you show your lack of ego when you don't lead your team out at Wembley and you let the owner who brought you in lead that team out. So I think Wealdstone have had a good season, and they can rightly go into next season with a good degree of confidence because they have a man in charge who knows what he's doing.
Right. Next up. Sorry, everyone. I went really quiet then because I did just get a message. That's not good news, to be honest. On the McNulty front. On the McNulty front.
Is it just rumour, Shah, or is it something you might share with us or not?
I think it's pretty much a done deal. To be fair, I have heard it, and obviously I've heard rumours about Kyron Gordon going. I don't know if that is obviously set in stone as well, but yes, I think it's looking like Jim McNulty is off skid, but we'll talk about that another time. Solihull Moors, they did finish in 14th. Who wants to talk about Solihull Moors first?
Kind of a nothing season from them. They finished mid-table. It was kind of a nothing season. There's nothing really to write home about. They got Joe Sabara back, which obviously good for them. He was great for them in National League before getting his move to Doncaster. Got him back. But they just kind of existed. They're one of those teams that didn't really light the world on fire. I think they had some struggling times, but I don't really remember us talking about Solihull. There wasn't really much to talk about with them this year. They just kind of existed in mid-table. Sorry to any Solihull fans that are listening to not really have much to add, but Joe Sparrow being top scorer on 10 goals when he didn't start the season, I feel like that says quite a lot about where they were this year. Kind of like goals. They've scored 44 at home, conceded 42, which isn't great. They were a bit of a mid-table team that didn't really have much to talk about this year.
Anybody else got anything to add on Solihull Moors?
Yeah, I think for the size of football club that they are, very respectable finish, 14th. I think they have, as a club, overachieved a number of times in the past, and that possibly sets a slightly unrealistic expectation for Solihull Moors. They've continued to improve their infrastructure as a football club, season in, season out, like Bromley have done at a higher level. You have to applaud them for that. Damson Park is a far more enjoyable and practical location to go to now than it was 5 or 6 years ago. I'm trying to rack my brains to remember at what point Chris Millington came in. I don't think he started the season. Was Matt Taylor still there at the start of the season?
I'm pretty sure he was.
I think he was, and I think he had a poor start, and he did go, but I can't remember quite when Chris came in. Chris pulled up trees, didn't he, at Halifax? And I think there were times early on I thought, here he goes again. He's going to apply his magic. But they didn't quite sustain it, did they? They dropped away a bit. I think they struggled a bit at times. Sabara coming back in gave them a boost. But yeah, I did personally, buy into that previous overachievement, and I had them to finish 9th or 10th, I think. So slightly disappointing from that point of view, but no disgrace at all.
Sorry, I'm on a downer now.
That's it. Quit the podcast, not doing anymore.
Yeah. Well, Jen Shah picks herself up. Jen, anything on Solihull?
They could have let me finish my segment on Dale this season before,
Give it a day. We'll do it tomorrow.
No, go on, Jen. Anything to add on Solihull?
Honestly, I agree with what everyone else said. They're just kind of a team that are just there. There's nothing to say on them. I know that sounds horrible, but they're just a team that's kind of just in and around. Just don't really ever offer anything relegation-wise, playoff-wise. It's just always in the middle and safe.
Things are looking up, Shah, looking at the messages. Eh?
I saw Bobby Grant and I thought, We'll leave Bobby Grant where he is. We'll leave him where he is. Yeah. 3rd of September he left, and Chris Millington came in on the 1st of October.
Okay, so that it wasn't too deep into the season, was it? Yeah. But Chris, let's judge Chris, on next season, the same as we
100%.
said with yeah.
100%. So next in 13th we have Altrincham, and Jen, I'm going to come to you first. Thoughts on Altrincham?
It's a weird one for me. I'd expect them to be a lot higher up than where they are, in and around the playoffs, I'd probably say. But again, it's the away form. Just some teams just aren't able to play well away from home, and to have 5 draws and 14 losses, it's not enough if you want to be near the top. Again, I don't see them as a team that should be in the National League. They should be in the EFL, and if they're wanting to get up there and get promoted, they really need to work on their away form, because it's just, you can't be losing 14 games away and conceding that many goals.
Morgan?
Weird season, because Phil Parkinson left. Everyone's like, oh, Phil Parkinson, he's Mr. Altrincham. He was there for so long. And they started so poor, or not so poorly, but worse than you'd expect for Altrincham. And it was a matter of time until it was like, well, how long do we give him? He's been here forever. He's a legend at Altrincham. How long do we give him? And they finally pulled the trigger. And obviously Neil Gibson then came in and kind of steadied the ship. And it was probably quite a good thing that they finished 13th and there wasn't really much to talk about, because when you lose someone that's been at the club for so long, like Phil Parkinson had been, it could have completely fallen apart for them. So something quite respectable in what Neil Gibson did in kind of steering them to 13th and a pretty safe mid-table season. Jimmy Knowles, always good player, getting 11. They've just extended Tom Crawshaw, I think it is. I think they've extended him. I saw that the other day. He's very talented. So good to be able to keep hold of him. And I think they've done quite well in terms of who they kept hold of, because Justin Amaluzo left last summer to go to Grimsby. Alex Newby left last summer to go to York. Regan Linney left last summer to go to Carlisle. And Chris Cloncark had left to go to Peterborough. So to lose all 4 of them in the summer and then lose Phil Parkinson early into the season, it was always a question mark of kind of how does this go from here. So I think it's quite respectable that they finished 13th and pretty solid mid-table season, and see where they can go. See where they can go from here, being kind of possibly the main Manchester club now in the National League, with Rochdale and Oldham both getting out in the last couple of years through the playoffs. I know Fylde are Northwest based and up there as well, but I think Altrincham should be able to pull more in compared to Fylde, so they should be able to kind of make use of that catchment area.
We might be back in there soon.
We'll stay up at least once, Char. Come on, you're not going straight back down.
I don't know if he takes all our players too.
You'll have a bit of optimism. You'll be all right this year.
Oh, no wonder he said Ollie Watmore for going to a higher league. Rob, any thoughts on Altrincham?
Yeah, well, they're one of my top 3 most favourite, hospitable clubs, along with Brackley and Wealdstone. Always a pleasure to go to Moss Lane. I see nothing wrong with this finishing position at all. Let's remind ourselves that Altrincham have been a full-time club for 3 seasons now. They've properly established themselves at this level after bobbing up and down a little bit between this league and the National League North. So they've got a real sound footing, a sound foundation at this level. And it's going to take the combination of a good manager and unearthing a few nuggets like they've managed to do in the past for them to do something a little bit more exceptional. I think when you look at it in the cold light of day, there are too many defeats there. But a pretty impressive also 13 wins at home as well. Not only drawing 1 game at home all season. So, nothing wrong with that at all. And Jimmy Knowles, funnily enough, if I remember right, I might be wrong on this, but I think the 2 games against Aldershot, I think he might have come off the bench in both of them, and he definitely scored in one, if not both, as well. I don't think he always started. So from his point of view, that 11 goals and top scorer might be quite respectable.
This made me laugh because Luke That end at Gateshead is bloody miserable sometimes. No, I do completely agree when it's raining, but it is one of my favourite grounds to go to, not Gateshead, Altrincham. But I'm going to come to you, Rob, on Boston. So 12th, we do have Boston United. What were your thoughts on their season? And Paul Hurst as well, as manager.
Yeah, really, really good signing. I think I would have had them quite a bit lower. I did 18th, so I didn't think they'd go down, but I thought it might be another difficult season for them.
Yeah.
What we saw at the start of the season was the manager they bought in that was perfectly equipped for a fight to stay up, Graham Coughlin, wasn't quite as well equipped to build his own side and do well in that league the next year. They did part company with him. I think with the greatest of respect for Graham Coughlin, who is very good at doing what he did, I think they bought in a level higher manager in Paul Hurst, who's been there, seen it, done it, who had history with the club. And it's a nice match. I think Christian from our podcast, and sometimes this one as well, was really delighted that Paul Hurst came back. I think his name was mentioned quickly, but he wasn't sure if Hurst would, as Christian saw it about his own club, sort of drop down to Boston, but he did. And he did pretty well, pretty solidly. He turned around their home form. It ended up being a lot more respectable after a miserable old run earlier in the season. And they were like the best of all the teams that at one point were in the relegation consideration. They literally went on to probably be the very best of all of those teams with their finish. And I know Christian was eyeing a top 10 finish towards the end of the season. They didn't quite get over the line with that. But that second season, back up at this level, fantastic. Really, really solid season for Paul Hurst and Boston.
Anybody else got anything to add on Boston?
I think it's a bit weird because this is obviously now, Rob, you said it's their second season at this level. Last year, Graham Coughlin came in halfway through the season, had to do a bit of a great escape. Paul Hurst then done the same this year, so I'm really intrigued to see what next year looks like. Is Paul Hurst going to struggle in the same way that Coughlin did after being given a full summer? And they spent quite nicely, I think. I think Christian said that they'd spent quite nicely over the summer, so they built a bit of a squad, and then it just didn't really go together. Really happy that Linnell John Lewis is their top scorer. Love that man. And his advert with John Lewis has been mentioned in the chat. Fantastic. So it'll be really interesting to see kind of what a Paul Hurst summer looks like. Is he going to struggle in the same way that Coughlin did, or is he able to kick on? Because they are a former Football League club. Is he able to get them as one of the possible playoff teams next year when the National League, obviously with all seven spot or the top seven all being available as a playoff spot, are they going to be able to sneak one of those last playoff spots and kind of get them in the fight back to the Football League?
Jen, have you got anything to add on Boston?
I just think that's such a good team, especially when they were in and around near the relegation zone with us. They're another team that we were keeping an eye on. And so for them to finish in 12th when they possibly could have gone down is incredible from them. And I generally think next season, if they get it right, they could really push for the playoffs.
Right. 11th, we have Tamworth. Anybody want to start with Tamworth?
Well, disgraceful season. They finished 10th the season before and they've dropped to 11th. What is Andy Peaks playing at, really? This is up there with one of the best overachievements again.
Definitely.
And to do it in the difficult second season as well. I think Ollie Lynch coming in from Luton on loan was a great find for them.
Yeah.
Stefan Moles too as well. Those two I think really excelled, particularly in the second half of the season. And those stats up there will tell you that if you're going to be Tamworth and you're going to overachieve, you're probably going to do it largely at the Lamb. Their away record is actually respectable, but a very difficult place to go and win, and only 6 teams managed it all season. And I do believe they did the double over Boreham Wood, who many of us said that on their day were the best side in the league. So congratulations to Tamworth. I don't know how Andy Peaks can keep doing it, can keep overachieving.
It's fantastic, isn't it? It's fantastic. It really is. Anybody else got anything to add on Tamworth?
Is there a case that he's manager of the season? Like, I know people say Jim McNulty, Stuart Maynard. Is it
Not
just
anymore,
Andy
Jim.
Peake?
Don't mention Jim.
Not Jim. No talk.
Word.
All right, maybe not Jim McNulty, but is it just Andy Peake? Like, are we overcomplicating this discussion? Like, they're semi-pro, they don't have the most resources, but what he does at home, especially, as Rob said, the form at the Lamb is absolutely fantastic. It's a horrible place to go. They lost Dan Creaney in the summer as well. He went to Solihull, and you're thinking, cool, how are Tamworth going to look? Second season, they've just lost this really good striker to Solihull. They got him back in the second half of the season when it wasn't really clicking at Solihull. So Andy Peake just deserves so much credit. I think he possibly is the manager of the season when you look at their resource and who they're competing against. They're one of 2 semi-pro teams, I think. I think it is just them and Wealdstone. To get 11th is just really, really impressive. Yeah, fair enough, Danny. It's a decent shout.
Jen, do you have anything else to add on Tamworth, or do you want to start with Woking?
I just think, again, Tamworth have just overachieved, like everyone else has said. I just feel like Andy Peake is doing an incredible job there, and honestly, I just take my hats off to him, especially at a club like that. It's amazing what he's doing there, and I generally think next season, if they can, why can't they push for the playoffs?
Can we just appreciate the legend that is Jazz Singh as well?
Oh, yeah, legend.
Can we just appreciate him for a moment? Because I think he's such a personality in non-league. Like, honestly, he's one of my favourite players throughout the whole of National League. So just take a minute to appreciate him. But yes, we are on to our top 10 now. So in 10th position, we have Woking. So who does want to start with Woking?
Weird season for Woking. I thought Neil Ardley would do better. He struggled. And then I didn't like the Jermaine Defoe appointment, and he did quite well at the end of the year. Yeah, they're pretty solid across the board. 10th, I think, is a pretty solid season for them. They've still got the issues that their fans will always complain about their director of football, Jody Brown, who seems to be holding them back when they have made the playoffs in previous years. Ollie Sanderson, good season with 16. Be interesting to see what their summer looks like, though. I think that's always the question mark about them. When they do anything, they sack Neil Ardley, and all the fans are like, well, it's something, but it's not quite what we want because Jody Brown's still director of football. So they're in a weird place. I think 10th's a good season for them, but I think their summer should be able to say quite a lot about what they're going to look like next season.
Anybody else?
Well, I'll have to suck this one up. Well done, Woking, for doing the double over Aldershot this season. They haven't managed that on too many occasions. 10 draws at home is something for them to look to improve for next season. I had them 13th, and they finished 10th. And they don't only have an ex-Premier League manager, but they have the all-time top scorer at Soccer Aid in Jermaine Defoe. Looked good, didn't he, yesterday? If anybody saw it. Couple of cheeky little lobs. I thought he was Josh Barrett for a minute. The way he was, finishing off those chances. I can only see a further improvement for Woking next season under Jermaine Defoe, because I think he'll help to attract good players as well. He's already made 3 or 4 signings, which look decent. He's not just signing big names or anything like that. Do you know what I mean? He's done his homework, or Jody Brown has. There's this popular narrative to dislike Jody Brown. Listen, judge the guy on how he does with his recruitment.
Yeah.
That's the only thing you need to worry about there, Woking fans. Ollie Sanderson, 16 goals. For me, seems to have done that without ever particularly catching the eye. So that's an impressive total. I have to doff my cap to that. By the end of the season, that is very, very good. Disappointing from an Aldershot point of view to see Woking finishing so much higher. Woking 10th, Aldershot 20th. I think Cards fans, enjoy that one.
Any thoughts on Woking, Jen? And obviously Jermaine Defoe?
Yeah, I just think with him at the helm, I just think they could really push for it next year. And I just think, like you say, you can attract them names. If you've got a Jermaine Defoe ringing you on the phone saying, do you want to come play for Woking? You're probably going to say yes. There's no if or but about it. So I definitely think the recruitment is going to be a big thing during this off-season. And then, again, we'll see where they are in pre-season.
I'm going to come to you next. I'm going to come to you again, Jen, now. So, 9th, Hartlepool United. What were your thoughts on Hartlepool? Obviously, I know they have parted ways now with Nicky Featherstone, haven't they? But what was your thoughts on their season?
Bit of a weird one for me. Like, it was a strange season for me. They should have been, I know it's only a couple of places, but they should have been pretty much in the playoffs. They shouldn't have been out of it. It's a weird season for them. Again, Alex Reid, incredible player, with bagging them 12 goals. But I feel like it just wasn't enough this season for them. And yeah, it's a weird one, a very weird one.
Am I right in saying he's just gone to Barrow as well, Alex Reid?
Yeah. Barrow
yeah.
Today. Yeah.
Yeah,
they've signed a proven goal scorer at this level, haven't they? You know? Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Any other? But can't speak. My mind's elsewhere now.
Any other?
I know. Anybody else want to talk about Hartlepool United? Honestly, my head's gone.
It's gone.
Crash out.
Just quickly, Morgan, we can probably work this between us. They started the season with, I want to say, Paul Grayson.
Simon Grayson.
Simon Grayson.
Simon Grayson.
Sorry, Simon, and sorry to Paul Grayson. Well, it wasn't whoever Paul Grayson is. I had them down to finish 6th. I think they had the change of ownership as well, which was always
went through it nowhere.
Yeah, the fans' biggest gripe really at Hartlepool was always about the ownership, wasn't it? As Spenny fan Chris says, off-field issues yet again for a northeast side. Yeah, he didn't last. Nicky Featherstone came in. Had a little bit of a topsy-turvy period, didn't he? I think he came in as caretaker. He had a decent run. They made him permanent manager and the form dropped off. But yeah, had them to finish 6th. I think overall they'll be slightly disappointed with 9th. But when you have that turnover of managers within the season, they just didn't quite get that playoff charge going in the final third, Morgan, did they?
No, and you talk about final third, that's kind of where it all went wrong for them. I know Alex Reid's top scorer at 12 and he's a decent finisher at this level, but they were known for the defence in the first half of the season. They were really, really solid defensively. I think it was after Simon Grayson went and Featherstone was in that interim period and he made them really solid at the back. And he got the permanent job and it just kind of fell apart. I know they had Cameron John on loan from us and they played him at left back and left centre back, and Hartlepool fans absolutely loved him. I've heard them clamouring to sign him on a permanent. Now he's left us. So yeah, it was a bit of a weird one for them. With Lee Clark now, I don't think Lee Clark's a bad appointment. I know some people have said he's done really poorly in other jobs. Sure, you don't look very impressed with Lee Clark going there. I don't think it's going to be as bad as people say, but the main gripe was with Raj Singh as owner, and now it's going to be interesting to see kind of what money spent and how they look, what a new look Hartlepool team looks like next year.
It's one of them with Lee Clark, right? I'm not against it because, like you say, I think he's done a decent job. I just don't know if it's one of them managers that football's kind of evolved.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Kind of thing. It might do a good job and stuff. I don't know. I don't want to judge. I don't want to judge it now before, obviously, I want to see the recruitment. Obviously, I want to see them play the games and stuff. But just for me, it doesn't really get me that excited.
What we have got, Shah, is having lost Mark Hughes. Obviously, we'll come on to Carlisle in a bit. We've lost Mark Hughes, a big, well-known ex-Premiership player. We've still, of course, got Robbie Savage, and now we've got Jermaine Defoe, and we've got Lee Clark as well. So
True.
I think to some extent, for the football supporting people in the country that don't necessarily notice non-league, I think sometimes having some of these names in our division helps people to look in our direction. So, but let's wait and see if it's just
100%.
A nice little thing for the league, or will it be, as Hartlepool hope, good for them?
Yeah, 100%. No, I agree with that. Like I said, it weren't anything personal to him. So I feel like he's done a job everywhere he goes, and I can't judge anybody now because signings, obviously, we'll see what they do in the summer. And then when they do start the season, I think it's just me. I was just like, oh, kind of thing, if you get me.
Did anybody else? Was anybody else surprised? Oh, ever so quickly on that one, Shah, if you can just
Yeah.
sit back. Was anybody else surprised that Alex Reid was released at the end of the season? He's finished their top scorer. So that, to me, is one of two things. It's either about his wage or it's about his attitude.
Yeah, I was going to suggest them two because I feel like, and obviously I'm not saying anything because I don't know him personally and I think he's a fantastic player, but I feel like the same has happened at different clubs now, the Oldham situation, and I don't know if it is a reoccurring theme. I'm not too sure. Obviously, I don't want to judge him because I don't know him personally. I think he's fantastic at what he does. But yeah, it's whether it's one of them reoccurring things that does happen.
I wonder if there's any link to that Wealdstone 7-0 loss, because that's almost one of the darkest days what Hartlepool have had, losing 7-0 away at a part-time team in, like, I know we say Wealdstone doing really well, but I know Hartlepool fans were saying 7-0 away to Wealdstone, almost one of the darkest days they've had. So I don't know if there was any sort of response that he had into that game, and it's kind of led to breakdown in relationship between him and the club, or something like that might have happened.
I guess we have to acknowledge that that's probably hypothetical, isn't it? That's possibly you just imagining a scenario that might have happened, but
there's no.
No, I'm not dissing it. I just think we need to be careful we don't start rumours. That's all. But what I would say is one other significant thing about that game, which you pointed out, Morgan, is that on that evening, if Hartlepool had gone to Wealdstone and won, they would have climbed into a playoff place that night. And everybody said, "Oh, Wealdstone's minds will be on Wembley." Not under Gary Wadditt. Not for a minute. He had them fighting for their Wembley places, didn't he?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Right. 8th. I'm going to come to you first, Jen, on this one, because you did steal the manager. So 8th at Halifax Town. Not you personally, by the way.
I don't know him.
I'm not saying you're a thief or anything. But yeah, Halifax Town.
It's a hard one, isn't it? Like, obviously we've got Adam now, and I can only go on what he's done at Halifax this year, and to get them into 8th place is incredible. I just think he's done so well to get them where they are, and to have a top goal scorer of 22 goals is huge, especially in the top flight of National League. But I think, again, the away wins, the away losses even, they add up. And if you're not getting the points on the board, you're not getting as high up in the table. And it's hard because they have just missed out on the playoff spots, and then we come in and steal their manager. So it just gets a little bit worse for them. But they can obviously try and rebuild during the off-season and hopefully try and push for the playoffs next season. But I just think with them not getting in this year, I think it was Adam's time to go. And as he personally said, he liked what Morecambe was doing and he wants to try and get them back to where they belong. And I haven't seen him with the players or anything like that. So that's obviously a pre-season. We can judge him on that. But for now, we've got a manager that knows how to manage a team and knows how to get the players playing. And that's the main thing that we need. So for me, I think they did a very good job, but they just missed out on the playoffs. And unfortunately, we came biting and took their manager away for them, and I'm sorry for that.
Rob, any thoughts on Halifax Town season?
Yeah, I mean, it's an overachievement again. It's the 3rd or 4th season on the trot, and by managers that have made their name at Halifax and gone on to other clubs. And, I feel, and Halifax fans probably won't like this, and then Luke won't like it when I say it, but I think Halifax and Gateshead seem to have some similar issues, like off the field. They're really frustrated by how they can't seem to generate more support. And don't get me wrong, I know Halifax's crowds are bigger than Gateshead, but for the wonderful stadium that they've got and the room that they've got in it, they struggle to fill it. And despite success, they're the epitome for me of a club that actually does well with its results, but don't necessarily draw in big crowds because of their reputation of how they are to watch. And I think this season they were probably more exciting to watch than they have been. You know, Will Harris he could win a game on his own. He did down at the EBB when he scored 2 goals. that just basically was the difference in the game. I know Aldershot came back and eventually turned that one around, but he's a difference maker on his day. He's a wonderful striker. I've got him in that top 10 players in the league for this season as well. And I do feel for Halifax because they keep losing good managers who are, pulling rabbits out of hats for them. Do you know what I mean? I mean, listen, I'm pleased for Jen because I think they've got a really good young manager in Adam Lakeland who can turn things around. But where do Halifax Town go from here? Same question we were asking Morgan about Gateshead. I don't know if you can see any similarities or whether you think I'm barking up the wrong.
I think there are similarities. I know Luke Walsh, obviously a big Halifax fan, great content as well, has talked about the issues at Halifax and how they do struggle to get in crowds. I think they had a point. I think they brought more away to York when we played them in February. I think it was about February. They brought more away to a game than they'd had at a home game or something silly like that. The home crowds are incredibly low for the size of stadium that they have. But yeah, I thought Adam Lakeland, fantastic season as manager because of the lack of resources and kind of the lack of money that are being pumped into Halifax. You'd expect a bit more for a club of that stature and kind of former football league and everything else. So you'd expect a bit more. Will Harris, great season, but Adam Lakeland leaving, I think, is quite damning and says quite a lot when he's happy. He finished 8th, just missed out on the playoffs, and he's happier to drop down to the National League North, a league that he's done well in before at Curzon Ashton. He's happy to drop down rather than trying to get Halifax into the playoffs. If that's what they're struggling with, then they've got quite a lot to fight with. And I think they've got quite a long way to go at the moment.
Just really quickly as well before we move on, Graham has also mentioned the mugs. Rob, do you want to model the mug again?
There's my mug. So much more attractive than the actual.
And there is a QR code in the corner, which I will leave up for a couple of seconds. You can scan that QR code and it takes you straight to the website. I will bring it up again at the end of the show because it is interfering with our graphics a little bit. But yes, I will bring it up. But yeah, if you want an Absolute Football podcast mug, feel free. As well, Graham's put, Rob, I'm doing that too, but you can't see it. Love it. So, Morgan, I've saved this one for you. 7th, we have Forest Green. What were your thoughts on their season?
Kyle McAllister's fantastic. Yeah, great player. One of the best players in the National League. Weird season from them, though. Great home form, slightly weird away form, and they seem to have more eyes on them for non-footballing reasons. And their summer has kind of accelerated that as well. I know they had... Rob, you might be able to name the player, but who was it that left because they forgot to actually option his contract extension?
Knowles. Tom, is it
Tom
Knowles?
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's says. Thanks, Sean. It says quite a lot about.
Some of my favourite players. That's why.
I think it says quite a lot about where they're at off the pitch. If you're failing to actually click the button to extend a player's contract who's a fan favourite, then that's quite damning. And the fact that 5 of their first team coaches left as well. They really are letting Robbie kind of build this club in his own image. They sacked Steve Cottrell for finishing 3rd in their first season back down. They give Robbie the full year and they finished 7th. I don't really know what's going on there because Steve Cottrell almost did what Mark Hughes did. A team comes down, he gets them 3rd place. It's not very pretty, but very effective. Whereas Robbie has tried to do a bit too much. They finished 7th, and I know they almost had a revolving door of players. They kept signing players and it wasn't ever really clicking. Kyle McAllister is one of the only ones that you can really point out and say he's had a really good year for the entire season. They even tried it with players like Ricardo Reis, who signed from Merthyr on New Year's Day. They got Nick Horton in from Fylde in January and he never really did anything despite how good he was for Fylde in previous season. So their recruitment's been a bit all over the place. So it'll be interesting to see what the rest of their summer looks like if they're having a massive overhaul of their coaching staff.
Anybody else want to talk about Forest Green?
Yeah, it's interesting. The first time I've really looked at it that way, Morgan, the fact that they'd finished 3rd the season before and finished 7th. I think the target was always for them, Robbie's first season there was to get in the playoffs, I think. I don't think they thought they were going to walk the league or anything, but slightly disappointed. I had them down for 4th, and I think there was a long period of the season they were 4th or 5th, and in the end they fairly comfortably got that to 7th place, didn't they? I like the way Robbie wants to play. I think when he gets it right, when they get it right, it's quite exciting, quite pacey, powerful, incisive. And I saw them do that at the New Lawn against Aldershot in the first half, where they went in 2-0 up. It could have been 5. They were absolutely brilliant. Ironically, the second half was very, very different, and they could have ended up only taking a point from that game, but they won it. They won it 2-1 in the end. And then I watched them with my own eyes in the playoffs at Meadow Park as well. And for a long period in that game that night, it wasn't clear who was going to progress. Boreham Wood did in the end. They had that little bit more nous and tactical ability about them. I think Forest Green have got a lot of highly athletic players, but Boreham Wood had that little bit of extra craft and nous, and it was just enough in the end to see them off. One other point I've got on Forest Green, which hopefully, longer term, because obviously he come in and he didn't necessarily sign all of those players, but there are 3 or 4 players at Forest Green, good experienced players who've been kind of frozen out, and at least 1 or 2 of them are still contracted for next season. I'm not quite sure. I'd like to think that football can prevail and some sort of agreement can be made with those players and they can get back doing what they love. Kean Harries is one of those, somebody I know well from his time at Aldershot, and Forest Green signed him, and he's pretty much been an outcast there, along with the other wonderful, talented centre midfielder whose name is escaping me right now, another experienced one. I think it begins with an L. Somebody help me out. But yeah, that's a bit of a mystery for me. But they made a couple of eye-catching signings already, haven't they, Forest Green? I think that Ajayi, the Hemel captain, is a good signing. And I think they'll be right up there amongst it again next season. Do I think they'll compete for the title? Probably not, but I'd be really shocked if they don't make the playoffs again.
Rob, are you thinking about Liam Sercombe?
Liam Sercombe, that was it. That's where the L came from. Thank you, Morgan.
I think this season will be a learning curve for him as well, if I'm being quite honest, Robbie Savage. I know a lot of people have obviously spoke about him, they've had their opinions on him, but I think he would have learned a hell of a lot from this season, this first season at National League. And it wouldn't surprise me if they do. I'm not going to say because there's going to be a lot of good teams next season in this league, but I think they will be up there still, and I think they will have a better season than this season. I'm not saying it's been a bad season for them, but I think they will do that bit better.
And that's a great point you've made, Shah, because people just look at Robbie Savage and they see obviously the personality, but they see the very experienced footballer that's played at the top level. But that doesn't mean that he's necessarily already completely equipped to be really strong as a manager at this level. Yeah. In his first season managing at this level, he's finished in the playoffs, and he's ticked that box. And I think you're right. I think he'll learn a lot from this season, as much tactically as he will about signing players and the size of players. The group of players he's had at Forest Green at the New Lawn was just way too big. It got up to 41, 42. And he'd be the first to admit, I'm sure, that you don't really, it's not conducive to a great atmosphere having a squad that big. And I'm sure that's one of the things he'll look to manage down, less in quantity and higher in quality. I'm sorry, Jen, I've overdone it here with Forest Green. I haven't left you much to talk about.
It's fine. I've got nothing more to add, to be fair. I just think that they're a team that should have been higher. And again, Robbie Savage is going to learn a lot from this season, I think, and take it into next season, hopefully be higher. Maybe not win, but definitely be in the playoffs for sure.
I'm going to come to you first on the next one, Jen. So 6, we do have Southend United. I've got a lot to say on this, and I've had a lot to say the last few weeks about this matter. Obviously, Kevin Mayer ended the season. He is not there anymore. They have parted ways with him. But what do you think about Southend's season?
I think they had a good season. I think, obviously, it's a bit of a strange one. Obviously, they've got Andy Dallas, who played for us, and for some reason he's the top goal scorer here, but couldn't score for us. But sure. Yeah, it's a weird one. It's difficult because if I was Kevin, I'd be really annoyed that they've let me go. Like, really annoyed, because I've got them into the playoffs. I've got them high up in the table. I'm getting them to cup finals and stuff, and then all of a sudden you're letting me go. What's going to happen next season for them now? Like, it's a very, very difficult off season for them now, I think, and it's a crazy one unless they've got someone that knows that they're going to be higher up in the league. I generally think they should have kept him, because they could have challenged for it next year. I generally think they could have if they kept him.
I don't know if there's any truth in it, but I know there's a few rumours on. I know Southend fans have said Hinshelwood. They really want him. And there's a couple of rumours linked. I'm not saying it's kosher. I am saying rumours, by the way, everyone, so don't take it that way. But yeah, that's what a lot of them are kind of heading at. And apparently, before we went to Worthing, from a couple of Southend fans that I know, they were interested in him then. But obviously, they didn't part ways with Kevin Mayer earlier. So yeah, that's what I think some of the Southend fans are kind of like hoping for. That I have seen. Let's
address the Kev Mayer thing. I mean, he's gone. He's got them a trophy. He's got them a second consecutive playoff season. I think we acknowledge all that, and we all acknowledge the job that Kev did through some of the most difficult. I mean, his loyalty to them
100%
was incredible. And in that respect, having had consecutive playoff finishes and got them to the FA Trophy final and won, albeit on a 0-0 draw after extra time, that was a difficult watch. I think you have to flip it round and come from the other way. Yeah. Southend United are a big club at this level. They can very easily get 8,000 supporters through the door. And they feel that they should be challenging for the title at this level of football. And they have concluded that with Kev Mayer at the wheel, they're not likely to compete for the title. Yeah. He has a way of playing. They are very hard to beat. They have a pretty enviable goal difference, actually. Look, they've conceded just over 1 goal a game. One of the best, if not the best, defence in the division. And they managed to score 40 goals home and away as well. So when you look at the stats like that, it doesn't look too damning, does it? But probably overall, 12 draws is where they'll be looking at what they need to turn from those 12 draws. They need to halve that and turn them into wins at least. And we've seen what it takes to win this league in recent seasons. It takes around about 100 points. And so I don't think Southend United are wrong in saying, is Kev Mayer the manager to go win this league for us?
I agree.
So, and I do know that their fans have been split on him for quite a long time.
Yeah, they have.
When you've got such a big supporter base, you do want more, you do demand more. And I'm really keeping an eye on this one to see who does go in there. I mean, in that manager, if there's any truth in that rumour, you have a manager who's been right up there at the top end of this division in the last couple of seasons, and you would say that he's equipped. But I don't want to feed those rumours. I think it's wonderful. No. His love affair with Worthing, he's gone back there. He's got them up to the promised land. And I would imagine they'd want him, and he would probably want to see what he can do at this level with them.
Yeah, I think rather than rumours, it's more who Southend want and who they've been linked to before. And that's why there's these rumours feeding through kind of thing. I don't think there's any truth in it whatsoever, just from what I've seen from Southend fans. Morgan?
I think it's the right decision to part ways with them. He took them through the darkest period in their history with all the ownership issues, people not being paid. The loyalty he showed to that club, as Rob said, was incredible. He wasn't being paid. There were times they were turning up with a squad of 12 and it was a backup keeper as their one sub. So the loyalty he showed, I think he finished 8th with them in that year where they were struggling with people not being paid, which was an incredible season. Last year, they had a full crack at it, and it was a very hard season last year. They got 7th, and it was a very competitive National League season. So to get 7th when you had Oldham, Rochdale, York, Forest Green, like Barnet won league on 102 points, like I think there was nothing wrong with that. But this year, they should have kicked on more, and they only got 6th really because Forest Green kind of capitulated near the end and just kind of fell down the table as the season was coming to an end. But I think it's the right thing to do. He took them through the last 3 years that were tough, but he wasn't ever really going to take them any further. Gus Scott Morris left as well, and it felt like at the end of an era, you let your manager go, you let your best player go, and whoever goes in, it's a big job, but they can rebuild properly. They'll have the ownership who should give them decent backing. So I think the Australian consortium have a decent amount of money behind them, so they should be able to back whoever they do choose to hire. They've got 9,000 fans they can bring in every week, who obviously that then helps with more money coming into the club, but also that level of support is unrivaled at this level. There's only really them and Carlisle that can do that. They should be one of the favourites for the league next year, and I think 6th and FA Trophy win is the perfect place to leave it, of saying you've left us in a good place, it's solid now, but we want more. And I think there's nothing wrong with them pulling the trigger and saying it's time for Kevin Mayer to leave. I think it's the right decision, personally.
Yeah, I think a lot of the Southend fans as well, because he's such a club legend, they wanted him to go on a high, and they didn't want to kind of dislike him in any way. They didn't want to get frustrated with him anyway, and they didn't want to kind of turn on him like that. So I think that's why a lot of Southend fans really were asking for it to be sooner rather than later, because they didn't want it to turn into like a dislike towards him in any way, which I completely get. At the end of the day, he's a club legend, isn't he? And each of us at all of our clubs, we never ever want to like kind of do that to a club legend, do we? So yeah, I completely get it from that perspective too. I think it's sad in the aspect they were so close to getting obviously a place in the Football League. And then obviously playoffs this season, they were awful in the playoff, may I add. Like, don't get me wrong, I think Scunthorpe managed that game absolutely fantastic. But from a Southend point of view, they were completely awful that whole game. Like, I don't know what happened to them. And even the Wealdstone Cup final, from both perspectives, it wasn't the most entertaining game whatsoever. They did come through. They ended on that high note. It took them to that FA Trophy final, won the cup, and then he's gone out on a high, hasn't he? So yeah, I do get that completely. Just think it's more sad that an era has ended, kind of thing, but that's football, isn't it?
Yeah, and I wonder about the timing of the decision, depending on when they made it. Yeah. Did they not miss an opportunity to announce it before Wembley and say this is his part, and he's got us, he's been incredible, he's been so loyal to us, he's got us to the FA Trophy, Wembley's going to be his last game. They won it, they could have shown the love, he could have had a proper goodbye. But the last game he plays, he has as manager, they win the FA Trophy at Wembley, and then within less than 2 weeks he's gone.
He's gone,
And there's been a bit of a habit in recent months and years for managers to get good send-offs when they've given the kind of service that he has, and he hasn't had that opportunity at Southend, which I think is a real shame. But it'd be fascinating to see who they bring in. Changes afoot. The manager's gone. Their top scorer of the last 2 seasons has gone, and I don't know. I think maybe some of Gus Scott Morris's might have been in the cups because he was close to 20 goals again. And their captain's gone already as well. Nathan Ralph has gone to Chelmsford in the last couple of days. It's going to be a really interesting, isn't it, what they do.
Yeah,
and we don't. Am I right in thinking that, given the proportion of their fan base, we don't get very many comments in from Southend fans on this podcast?
No, we get a couple, to be fair, and I will give them their due. When it was leading up, when we did them few shows towards the end of the season, our first season, we did get a lot coming in for like the playoff games, but no, we've not seen very many of them, to be fair, recently, which is sad because they are a fun bunch, to be fair. They are a good fun bunch. Maybe not feeling the banter at the minute. I'm sure they'll come in next season. But speaking of departures, 5th, we do have Scunthorpe United. Talking about the top goal scorers. You've obviously got Danny Whitehall there, 18 goals. But Cal Roberts, he has gone. He has gone back to Notts County. Morgan, I'm going to start with you first. What were your thoughts on Scunthorpe United's season? First season back in non-league as well, in the National League. So I think it was a fantastic one for them.
Yeah, it really impressed me. I had them finishing in the bottom half because not often do we see teams come up from the north and south and be able to compete as well as they did. And Boreham Wood, we'll come on to them in a minute as well. Exactly the same, came up and competed. Andy Butler did a great job. Helped that Callum Roberts was still there. Obviously, League One quality player on his day. That Southend semi-final, his goal for that was fantastic. Really, really talented player. It'll be interesting to see what Scunthorpe do. I don't really have much to say. Like, they had a really good season. They were really physical. They're hard to beat. Their midfield was excellent. Obviously, Zane Westbrook, I mentioned earlier, is now at Yeovil. Ollie Ewing, really talented player in the middle of the pitch. I know they had some issues with keeper. I know they had kind of a few players in there. I think they had Rory Watson at one point. Rory Mahardy was on loan from Leeds. They had Mason Campbell as well. I think they went through 3 or 4. Well, those 3 all played for them. They might have gone through a 4th keeper as well. So I think that was possibly the thing holding them back. But really, really good first year for Scunthorpe back in the National League.
Jen, I'm going to come to you next. Scunthorpe.
Yeah, again, incredible season from them. It's just incredible what they've managed to achieve in such a short amount of time. And again, they're just an incredible squad. And I ever think 5th when you're first in the National League is incredible from them. So who knows what they'll be able to achieve next season now.
Rob?
Outstanding season. First season back at this level. Just 10 defeats coming up from the division below is outstanding. I think you started with the biggest point, Shah, and that is Cal Roberts going.
Yeah.
Not a surprise. I remember him being at Notts County. I remember being at a big game, a playoff game, I think, and he limped off after 20 minutes. And that's what dogged him and continued to for a while. Mm-hmm. But I think he's that player that if he's now gone a whole season pretty much without injury and no major injuries, Notts County are like, we want you back because we already know you've got the talent to play at this level. Yeah. Definitely one of the top 6 or 7 players at this level again. And this isn't my opinion, but this is the opinion of more than one Scunthorpe fan that I've spoken to, or one of them was the host of a podcast. I went on their podcast. Another one was a fan in the pub that I spoke to for our pod before the game.
Is one of them our mutual friend?
It might be. Did you? Oh, yeah. You put me in touch. I think you put him in touch with me.
What a legend.
Yeah. What's his name? It begins with B, doesn't it? I can't think what it's.
Is it Barra?
Barra, I want to say. Yeah. Barra. That's it. Yeah. Now, I know he said there was a kind of an opinion, a narrative, and the guy in the pub said the same thing to me. He said, we're a bit surprised we're as high as we are. If we're really honest, Cal Roberts is the difference. And if you took Cal Roberts out of our team, we'd probably be quite ordinary. We'd probably be mid-table. Well, we'll see if that is the case, won't we? Obviously, depending on who else comes in and who else goes from Scunthorpe. But, he was outstanding as an individual within a good team. Like Jack Nolan was outstanding as an individual in a team that was struggling. But how both of those two teams do without those key players next season will be interesting.
Very interesting. Very interesting. So, Rob, I'm going to come to you first on this one. So, 4th, we have Boreham Wood. Would you like to talk about Boreham Wood in their season?
Always, really. Listen, one of the best things that Luke Garrard has done, he's been such a brilliant front man for that club, for that football team. I actually think Boreham Wood have slightly turned the narrative. 3 or 4 years ago, they were really disliked as a football club. And I think the way that they have gone about things, I think they've gradually attacked that. Luke Garrard, for me, it's literally a rise, Sir Luke. I've said to you that I felt that on their day they were the best team. And we all admitted we all thought, and you admitted too, Shah, in your day of glory, that on the day Boreham Wood were the better side. They just didn't get the result.
Million percent.
They didn't do what they do for fun, which is close out games when they are in the lead.
Yeah.
Luke is somebody who will analyse every aspect of that. So as brilliant as a season as it was it 90 points, 92 points?
Yeah, 90.
90 points, absolutely phenomenal. And then they got to Wembley and he didn't feel like an imposter this time, his words. And they turned up and they got 2-0 up towards the latter end of the game and somehow, some way didn't get across the line. Time will only tell if that's the closest Boreham would ever get to the Football League. I think Luke Garrard and that football club have strong ambitions, like the other Bees, like the Bromley and the Barnet. I think they're going to be coming back like a pest, an absolute pest.
100%.
And they're going to be there again. Look at that record. It's absolutely outstanding. Can't say too much. Matt Rush, 25 goals, is outstanding. And yet I was looking at Boreham Wood and thinking, how could they improve as a team? And I was kind of thinking, might they want a bigger, stronger, more focal point up front? But how do you leave that man out when he gets 25 goals?
Definitely. Jen, do you want to talk about Matt Rush?
Tom White.
Yeah,
you can still talk about Matt Rush, Tom White.
No, honestly, I think Boreham would have had an incredible season. Incredible. And honestly, they deserve nothing but respect on their name, to be honest, because what they've managed to achieve is unreal. Like, for me, I think they are possibly one of the favourites to go up next season for me. I think the squad that they've kept, Luke Garrard, incredible manager. And genuinely just think it's such a lovely club. And unfortunately, I didn't get to go to it this season, but they're just a team that you can get behind and you can support because they've worked so hard to get to where they are. And I think, honestly, next season, it hurts. And I remember seeing Tom White's Instagram and him saying, it hurts right now, but we'll be back. And I think that's the main thing that they need to take from this. Yes, it hurts that we haven't gone up, but who says you can't win the title next season? It's there to play for. So I wish him, honestly, nothing but the best next season.
Morgan?
Incredible season. Yeah, fantastic season all round. Obviously, Matt Rush, top goal scorer, and people talk about Abdul Malik, but they got so many contributions from around the pitch. They did really well in terms of their keepers. They had Finn Herrick and Ted Curd, both on loan from Premier League sides, one from West Ham, one from Chelsea. Chris Bush in defence, great as always. Jeff King was really good in the first half of the season for them, and then Cameron Cox was a good kind of backup to step in there. Midfield, always really strong. Eric O'Souza. Yeah. You can't talk about Boreham Wood season without talking about Zach Brunt, who they've then extended. You can list off numerous players that had a really good season for them. Lewis Richardson, who they got from Burnley, contributed as well. So you can just keep listing off players. They had a fantastic season.
Leon Ayinde as well. Ayinde did well, didn't he?
Yeah, Leon Ayinde as well. When I said teams don't come up from National League North or South and compete like Scunthorpe did, Boreham Wood have done the exact same thing. The two newly promoted teams obviously two went straight back down, but two have gone straight into the playoffs and really done well for themselves. In terms of what you said about like their reputation and them being more liked, I think they used to play. They lent into the dark arts in the past. I feel like they play nicer football now. I feel like they don't lean into the dark arts much, and people don't care as much about their smaller attendances and everything else. People have just accepted them now as a National League club. So I think they've kind of been able to change that narrative about themselves.
Yeah, definitely. And I agree with this comment as well from Luke. Done absolutely fantastic, both teams. Absolutely fantastic.
It's normally
be interesting. Sorry, Rob.
Sorry, Shah.
No, I was just going to say it'll be really interesting to obviously see what happens in the summer regarding both of those teams, will they be able to keep certain players? Now, obviously, Carl Roberts has left Scunthorpe, but we've seen Abdul Malik. Will he be linked? I know he's been linked to Peterborough. I know he's been linked to several League One clubs. Will he stay there? And there'll be a lot of interest, obviously. And I'm just hoping, fingers crossed, Luke Garrard's now in contract. Can he obviously keep that key core of that squad because I thought they were absolutely fantastic. And if they can get a couple more players, I really, really do have them challenging up there.
Definitely so. Definitely so.
Yeah.
I think they're quite gritty and quite determined to keep Brunt
100%.
and Abdul Malik. And I think they've got good contracts, good length of contracts. Yeah. And I think as Danny Hampton, I think the chairman's been quoted as saying they are under contract with us. There are players and sides are going to have to get out some very thick wallets if they want to prize them away from us. I did have I'm going to say the pleasure, because I know I have constructively criticised him on this podcast, but I had the pleasure of meeting Abdul Malik at the National Game Awards a couple of weeks back, and I did interview him for our podcast. We haven't actually put it out yet because we haven't had a pod, but what fascinated being up close and personal, and I don't know if you can all relate to this, but so young, and like talking to you, feel so old when you talk to some of these footballers, and you realize just how young they are. They are kids in some respects. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. But I was brave. I did ask him about the shithousery, and I said I've been quoted as saying maybe it's a side of your game that maybe you need to mature from. And actually, to be fair, he's very honest, and he opened up and he said, I said, does this kind of get you going, the extra incentive? He said, I do love it when people have a go at me. I love to give it back. But he then also started waxing lyrical about how Luke Garrard had absolutely torn strips off him after he was doing the in front of the Forest Green fans, after the goal that he assisted in the playoffs, So, it was interesting to meet him up front. And I did, when I was on the way to the National League playoff final, I was stood next to a League One manager on the tube who was definitely going to that game to watch Abdul Malik, and he wasn't the Peterborough manager. That's all I'm going to say. So I think there will be heavy interest in him. But it wouldn't surprise me if Boreham would keep him.
I hope so. I really, really hope so. Really hope so. Right. Third, we have Carlisle United. Obviously, Mark Hughes is on there. Great season. 95 points, if I'm right, that they finished on. But it has been he has departed ways with them now. So, Morgan, I will come to you first. Carlisle United.
Gonna be honest, really good season from them. I don't know if it's kind of the popular view, but I think they've had a really good season considering where they were last season in League Two and kind of the free for all they're in. They're a bit of a mess. It could have been so easy for them to fall out of the Football League and just completely lose the plot. Mark Hughes came in, and I know Carlisle fans weren't happy with the style of play at times. It wasn't the prettiest, but I think he adapted really well to the level, and I know they didn't score against York or Rochdale in the games that they played against the two teams that were the very best in the league, but I felt like he did really well at stabilising that club. And obviously he left a couple of days ago, and a lot of the tweets I saw from Carlisle fans were saying, thank you, Sparky. Like, you stabilised our football club. Like, yes, it wasn't pretty, but you got us 95 points, you got us third, and it could have completely fallen apart. And I thought he did really well with the usage of Linney and Con Clark, because at a time, they'd turn up, especially first half of the season, they'd turn up and you knew their tactic was get the ball to Linney and Con Clark, and there wasn't really any other structure to what they wanted to do. They didn't look great playing out. Didn't look great playing out from the back and stuff like this. So I thought he did really well in the second half of the season. They actually went on quite a good run that people weren't really talking about because they'd fallen away a little bit, and it was York and Rochdale going for the titles. They almost had third locked up. But I thought he did really well kind of adjusting their tactics, because Linney spent some time injured, so did Con Clark, and they were going into games not just relying on those two. So he got more out of players like Georgie Kelly and David Adjeboy and Junior Loamba in their front three. Players like Whelan as well, slightly further back. He got more out of them than you'd expect earlier in the season. So I thought they actually had a really good season under Mark Hughes, and I think it's now time to kick on with a younger manager. But in terms of stabilising that club, he did a great job.
Jem, what were your thoughts on Carlisle United? Because I know people have real mixed opinions on this one. And I actually think Mark Hughes did a fantastic job. Obviously, they parted ways. got Rob Elliott in. Sorry, Luke, for obviously saying that. But what were your thoughts on Carlisle United?
I think they had a good season. All in all, I think obviously the title fight was always going to be between York and Rochdale, so they were always going to be in and around third place. And I can understand why Carlisle fans wanted Mark Hughes sacked, but I remember watching a few games and I can hear some of the players like booing him and stuff. And I'm like, you do realise where you are in the league. Like, you're third. Like, you're still going to be in the playoffs. I just feel like some fans really loved him and then some fans really hated him. But like you said, it's time to see what Rob Elliott can do. And Mark has stabilised the club, and that is the main thing they can take away from it. And honestly, they're probably one of the teams to go for the title next year, and hopefully it all works out.
Thank you so much, Rob.
Yeah, a really good first season at this level. Lots of big clubs come down and underestimate it. I think Mark Hughes, very experienced manager, but hadn't managed at this level before either. They made some shrewd signings, none more shrewd, of course, than Regan Linney. He finished with 19 goals, but bizarrely, I think had a run of 11 games without a goal at one point in the middle of the season. So he kind of refound his form a little bit. Chris Clark, they had in on loan, an outstanding player at this level. He can really win a game on his own. He did with two assists at the EBB when Carlisle came down. They beat Aldershot home and away fairly comfortably. 29 wins out of 46 games is exceptional. 95 points would have won you the title in X amount of the last few seasons in the National League. And I think only time will tell if they have got rid of a very good manager and replaced it with one who is as good. I mean, no question in what Rob Elliott did at Gateshead, but make no bones about it. This football club and this football club's expectations are very, very different to that of Gateshead's. So good luck to Rob Elliott. He'll need to start well to get the fans behind him.
Right. So, second, and obviously playoff final winners. We do have Rochdale.
And we do have Shah. Come on, Shah. Are you going first or not?
Yeah, I am going first. Real good season, obviously, from Dale. I know a lot of people still had us up there after last season, obviously getting that playoff spot. Playing against Southend, I know we were our kind of own worst enemy then. There was a lot of talk about Jim McNulty, what he had to do. Obviously, some of his decision-making, some of his in-game management. And to be fair to Jim McNulty, I think, and he was learning the last few seasons, we need to all sit here and remember with Jim McNulty, he was new in it. Like, he got thrown in at the deep end. We had a lot of struggles. Possible liquidation, and then we got a takeover from the incredible Ogden family. And I just want to say right now, none of this would have happened without the incredible Ogden family. Fantastic people, the people who work for them as well. They're just incredible. So thank you so much to the Ogden family. And without them, this wouldn't be happening. But yeah, a lot of people were criticising Jim, and a lot of Rochdale fans, if I'm being quite honest. But what I saw in Jim McNulty this season was a real maturity about him. He learnt from his mistakes, brought in the likes of Jason Taylor, who I've mentioned before. He's brought in the likes of Matty Doan, added to his backroom staff. We already had Josh Lillis, goalkeeping coach. I know Ian Henderson has been doing some work as well from a coaching role, as well as obviously his cameos and also just appearing in general when we've needed him to, with the odd goal here and there. So he's brought in people that he trusts. These are ex-teammates of his as well, and just people that know Rochdale from top to bottom and are familiar with the place as well. And they've really, really helped him. And another thing I wanted to say about Jim McNulty, substitutions and in-game management, as I've mentioned, were top-notch this season. We won't mention that Brackley game. We already got our little comment in earlier on when we were speaking about Brackley. But yeah, And I think a lot of people have realised this watching towards the end of our season, and some of the substitutions that he has made has played such an impact into us scoring those late goals. And mentality was another thing that a lot of people criticised Jim for. And we have shown that playoff final, we've shown even that against York before it all went completely wrong. We've shown against Braintree, those other late winners as well, that
Solihull,
one thing, Solihull, that we cannot criticise Jim and his squad for was mentality, because my God, they really did take it right until the end, and that's shown. But yeah, Manny Desirue, obviously there, 26 goals. We all know what Manny Desirue can do in non-league. This is honestly his level. He's been fantastic. I know he had obviously an injury as well, where he was sidelined for a little while. But yeah, fantastic season from him. One person I did want to mention as well, Oliver Watmoth, 18-year-old goalkeeper from Manchester City we had on loan. Absolutely fantastic all the way through the season. A lot of people obviously were a little bit sceptical at the start of the season, thinking we needed an experienced goalkeeper. My God, when we signed this kid, I was like, he plays for Manchester City, so he's obviously going to have a bit about him. But wow, that is a name. It's a peculiar name anyway that everyone will remember. But he has got such a fantastic career in football, that lad, and he's so humble. And yeah, he's been one of the keys for this season. Obviously, our defence, Kyron Gordon, Ebanks Landell, Sam Beckwith. I want to give a shout out to Sam Beckwith because he was very, very good up until that injury. And then we did get Callum Perry on loan, obviously from Coventry. Another person as well I wanted to give a shout out to because he did get thrown in at the deep end. We were all very, very worried when Sam Beckwith got injured because he is a key player, and all of us on here now know what a player Sam Beckwith is, and he's just fantastic. And we were all like, oh, what's going to happen? But Callum Perry was absolutely magnificent for us. And yeah, I could go on all day about this person, that person. But yeah, it was a fantastic season. In Dale fashion, we took it right to obviously the end, that playoff final, that comeback. Tyler Smith scores, makes it 2-1. That ball from Casey Petit as well, right to Manny Desirue, 2-2, and then that penalty shootout as well. And yeah, I think it's just been an all-round fantastic season from Rochdale. A group of lads as well, I'm really proud to say that they fought right until the end, every single player, even those players that obviously weren't playing in certain games. You could see the togetherness about this group. You could see just what Jim McNulty has obviously wanted to do the last few seasons with Rochdale. We wanted it to be something of family, community, everyone gets on. And honestly, I cannot say a bad word about any single person associated to this Rochdale team because every single person's played the part, from manager, staff, players, fans, literally everyone. And yeah, I know there is a lot of rumours at the moment about Jim McNulty, but no matter what happens, I just want to say Jim McNulty has been absolutely fantastic. He's took us from the bad times to the best times, and yeah, just good luck to him if it's true what the rumours are saying. But I don't know if anybody else wants to speak about us.
Oh, I'm sure we do. We should let probably Morgan go next as your nemesis, if you like.
Yeah, of course.
Great season, to be honest, because what did you finish, fourth last year? Was it fourth and you lost to Southend playoffs? Yeah. Really impressive to take that step up because of the teams that made the playoffs last year. Obviously, York and Rochdale both did. Forest Green did. Southend did. Halifax did. And then Halifax missed the playoffs with obviously Oldham and Barnet going up. So you could have taken a step backwards. I thought it was really impressive that Jim McNulty did learn his lessons and take those steps forwards and take you from fourth to second on 105 points. Did you get in the end? 106? I can't actually remember. 106, I think. I can't remember what points totals were at the end. But yeah, really impressive to take that step forward. And he obviously learned his lesson quite early on with that Brackley game, because with it being the whole bank holiday, he fully rotated, and obviously it cost you in the end. But he learned his lesson quite quickly from that, and then what he learned at the end of last season. So yeah, great season from Rochdale and Jim McNulty.
Jen?
Yeah, I've just got to say, fair play to Rochdale. I always had them up there this season for me. I always thought it was going to be York to go straight up, and it would have been Rochdale out of the playoffs. And I remember when we played you on that Friday, I remember turning around to my friends.
I don't remember any of that, Jen.
I was like, yeah, I'm just going to go and have a great time. It's that last away game. We're probably going to get battered 6-0 or something. And then for some reason, we just decided to switch on that day, which was obviously great for us, but not so great for you. But yeah, honestly, I remember watching that, and then Ian Henderson came on and scored, and I was just like, okay, fair
It was a good goal as well, wasn't it?
Fair
A real
play.
good
I
goal.
turned around to my friend and I was just like, fair play. I was like, it is what it is. But yeah, honestly, Rochdale deserve this. Like, the tough times that you've had, everything that's gone on behind the scenes and stuff. I was really, really rooting for Rochdale to do it this year, and
Thank you.
I'm so glad they have. Jim's such a nice guy. I remember when Jim Bentley went back, he was speaking to so many fans, and he was saying to them, like, I'm so glad you are where you are, and I wish you nothing but the best. So I think from a Morecambe point of view, it's a lovely ground as well. Like, I've grown up in and around that ground and Bury's ground. It's a lovely ground, and honestly, it is EFL standard. So honestly, I just can't wait to see what you do in the EFL now. I really, really wish you nothing but the best.
Thank you. We need it. Rob?
Yeah, absolutely delighted for Rochdale. Delighted I predicted them to come second, and they did. A proper football club, proper football fans, been through a lot of pain over a lot of years. You've turned it round. You're on the up again now. Classy off the pitch, classy on the pitch. And when you were good, you blew teams away. And even when you weren't so good, you got the job done. I saw both of those examples. And not much to add to what everyone else has said, other than I've just been looking at his career record. Manny Diasaruwe went a long time in football without ever being a prolific goal scorer. Had a good season with Halifax, got a move to Hartlepool, and did pretty well overall at Hartlepool. But 26 goals in 40 games for Rochdale. Outstanding and classy. I think he got at least 2 of your 3 goals at Aldershot. I interviewed him after. Confidence, belief in himself. Some of his finishes this season, so assured. And I think he's earned this opportunity to see what he can do, hopefully with yourself, Shah, next season in the EFL.
Definitely. I really quickly just want to add as well, I won't take up too much time, but Ethan Ebanks-Landell, I just wanted to give a massive shout out to him, because I think I've said on here before, he was one player when we did get relegated that a lot of people really did criticise, because obviously he didn't have the best season, don't get me wrong. And they all thought, obviously, he'd be one of them players who'd help us get through the relegation and things like that. And Ebanks-Landell, I'm going to be honest now, he had offers to go back when we did get relegated, to go back to the EFL. And he was like, no, I want to stay at this football club. I was part of a relegation team. I want to try and see what we can do now, try and get us back to our best moments. And what a season he's had, honestly, Ebanks-Landell. And I know last season there were people saying, oh, he's not good enough and this and that when he came back from his injury. And people judged him, and they shouldn't have, because he came back from a real serious injury. He had to have surgery, and it was just so, so lovely to see him and Ian Henderson lift that trophy together that we did win, because he could have easily just gone to a different club. He could have got a wage. He could have obviously cracked on with it, but he chose to stay. He chose to be loyal, and he chose to be the true captain that a lot of people are really, really seeing Ebanks-Landell for now. So he was just one player who doesn't necessarily get the credit. It's more the youngsters, but he has just been such a fantastic role model Like, I'm honestly so chuffed for him as well, because he doesn't get the plaudits that he deserves. So I just wanted to give him a mention. That was okay.
Go for it.
But yeah, I think that's the end of the podcast now, isn't it, guys?
Nice. Go to bed now.
Bye, Huns. No, I'm only joking. So, obviously, champions, well-deserved champions as well, because they were absolutely fantastic. As I've mentioned consistently on the podcast, this player, Ollie Pearce, 34 goals. Stuart Maynard, what a guy, a fantastic manager, and what he has done since he became, obviously, manager at York. But yes, Championes, York City. Morgan, have your moment. And yes, congratulations. I know I have already wished it you, but congratulations again.
Thank you. I'll try and keep it short and sweet in some
No, don't worry.
Great season I could ever imagine. I think we averaged 3-1, I think, per game. No, it was less than that because we conceded 41 in the season, not 46. Incredible season. I'm not worried about signings at the moment. It's the 1st of June. We've got 2 months. We'll be absolutely fine. I think it's mental that of those 4 losses, Scunthorpe and Solihull were both back in October time, and then there was 2 later in the season. But we went 24 undefeated at a point, and Jeff King was the only outfield player not to score for us, I think. It was just massive effort from everyone, even players that came in short term, someone like Morgan Williams signed from Yeovil later in the season, or Zach Johnson we got in January. Massive effort from everyone involved. From behind the scenes, Stuart Maynard is coaching team like Joao Alves and people like that, Gary Elphick is coaching staff. It was just massive effort from everyone. Josh Stones' development from... He was almost loaned out to Hartlepool at a point. It didn't happen. Then given the game at Barnsley, and he went flying from there. So yeah, it was just incredible effort from everyone involved. I'm just happy to be back in the Football League, to be honest. Like, long time coming, 10 years of horrible years, 5 years in National League North, and it only took one of the greatest seasons the National League will ever see, and one of the greatest title races the National League will ever see to get there. Would have been nice for my heart rate to have done it a little easier, but we got there in the end.
Tell me about it.
So, yeah, I'm just happy we're back.
Jen, Rob, who wants to go first?
Jen can. If you want to.
I just think they've had an incredible season. I said it at the start when they didn't go up last season. I thought this would be York's season. It had to be. There was no other way about it. And Ollie Pearce is just such an incredible player. To bag 34 goals in National League is insane. And to only have 4 losses throughout the season is incredible. So I take my hat off to York. And honestly, I think them and Rochdale are the 2 that deserve to go up and did go up. And we can sit here and talk about 3 up, 3 down all night. But the right 2 teams went up, I think. And yeah, honestly, when we went to York, it was probably one of the best games that I've watched personally. So I think I wish York nothing but the best, and generally can't wait to see what they do in the EFL now.
Yeah, 114 goals, outstanding, only 41 conceded, only 4 losses. York City had and exuded and loved having the perfect cocktail, the ability to score on average 3 goals a game and concede perhaps just under 1. Outstanding with Ollie Pearce. Remember the season before, we were all like, why did they sign Josh Stones? Or you can't play Stones and Pearce together. They both pretty much played all season. And that's down to Stuart Maynard coming in and knowing exactly how to make the most of his, frankly, embarrassment of riches that he had. Really humble guy. Really. Funnily enough, I've not ever spoken to him personally yet. And I may not do now. But I didn't actually speak to him during his time in at Wealdstone. So, but I've seen a lot of him, and I've seen him guesting on a couple of podcasts. And, you know, he's a really, really exceptional human being and manager. And I think he came in with all that expectation at York, and plenty of weapons at his disposal. But he just saw it straight away. He just got it. He got them purring, and wonderful. I was on record as saying a few times I just had a little bit more love as a club for Rochdale and wanted them to win the league. But I'm so pleased that you've both gone up. And frankly, Morgan, I wouldn't have wanted you in this league again next year. Potentially could have been a procession. And whatever level of dislike or hate you feel at times York City have got, believe me, if they'd romped the league by 20 points, you'd have had an awful lot more than you did. And I don't think York City are that badly disliked. I just think it's unfortunate that your chairman has a habit of opening his mouth and when he doesn't need to. And that aside, that's the only little blot for me on York's copybook. Absolutely.
I tell you what, though, to be fair to him, as soon as we got promoted through the playoffs, he was one of the first people to comment on my tweet and say congratulations. I was well chuffed.
When he's in a good mood, when he's in a good mood, I think what people from the outside don't see is his mum's also part of the football club. He's part owner. It's a 50-50 split, and his mum's a grown up, and his mum's fully bought into it. And when it was like a few days after we won the title, they did a big event at the stadium, and his mum was going around with the trophy and like joining in with the songs, and almost acting like a choir leader for 5,000 people. Like if she's a 50-year-old woman or whatever she is. 3 years ago, she wasn't really that involved. She was the businesswoman. Now she's fully bought into it. So everything that Juliana's done, like I know people look at Matt and he's the loudmouth one on Twitter that gets into arguments with people. I know Yeovil fans hate him as well. And I know people are waiting for it to all go wrong. The amount of effort they've put in, it doesn't ever feel like it's going to go wrong. It feels like they actually care. But I think a lot of that goes down to Juliana Ogler as well, 100%. That people don't see because she's not on social media. Or no, she is. She's just not very active and doesn't act in the same way that Matt does. But everyone at the club deserves a hell of a lot of respect and praise for what the season has done, because you don't get there without everyone pulling in the same direction. It's a horrible league to get out of. And you see it every year. Barnet got 102 points last year, and it took Dean Brennan a hell of a lot of an effort to get there. Barnet squad last year was fantastic. What Notts County and Wrexham did, what Chesterfield did, it's not an easy league to get out of. So to do it, it's not just down to one star player dragging you through. You need everyone and their dog to get you through there, and everyone deserves that bit of respect.
I completely agree with that, Mark. And I was just going to say as well, like, we're obviously championing women in football. Myself, Jen, any other female who gets into football, who wants to get in football. And I think Julianne is a perfect example of a very respectful lady who has done absolute wonders in football. And she's a fantastic role model and representative when it comes to a female in football. So everything you've just said there, Morgan, I completely agree with you. Honestly, fantastic. She is absolutely fantastic. And even to be fair, obviously when you won it at Rochdale and just seeing her and things like that, and yeah, she was real classy about it. So yeah, I completely agree with that. Fantastic woman involved in football. Definitely. But that is the end of our National League season review. What a season. I'm already looking forward to the next one. From the National League perspective as well, but we do need a good break. We do. But we do have a lot of content coming up. So obviously on a Monday, usually you can catch us in collaboration with a fantastic NL Full Time, and we are talking all things National League North, National League South. That is taking a break for a good couple of weeks now. We will be back, obviously, before the season starts, probably some transfer news, and then doing our previews for each league. But there'll be more information, obviously, on that very, very soon. Tuesday, you do have Sam and a fantastic Premier League team. They are doing a Premier League season review. So, yes, it's full of the season reviews this week. So definitely check that one out. We do have a very happy Sam, because Manchester United did finish in third, and he's very happy with the appointment of Michael Carrick. So definitely go and check that one out. Obviously, Freya, Paul, and the rest of Team Chaos, they are back on Wednesday with all things women's football. And you can catch me again on Thursday talking all things EFL. I think it might be our League 2 season review, but I'm not 100% sure. But I don't know what Sam's done with the graphics, but there will be a season review, either League Two, League One, or the Championship. So thank you so much to everybody tonight who has taken part in this, who has obviously had the patience of staying for so long. We do appreciate it. But Morgan, where can everybody find you and your fantastic work?
On Twitter @_Morgan_Bruce, and in York Press there is a piece I've just written going through like York season, so go check that out in York Press online.
Love that. Jen, where can everybody find yourself and your fantastic work too? I'm loving the vlogs that you're doing.
Thank you. I'm going racing. I'm going to Alton Park this weekend for the racing, so there'll be another one for that. Yeah, you can find me JenHunt_ on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok.
Rob, obviously we are in collaboration with a fantastic NL Full-Time. Before I ask you what your socials are, what the pod socials are, I just want to say thank you to yourself, the rest of the guys as well, for collaborating with us this season. It's been an absolute pleasure. And obviously the amazing Absolute Football podcast team as well, Morgan, Jen, and Ben too. Thank you so much for your hard work and consistency, and especially at the time where obviously I was absent over Christmas. You've all been fantastic, and yeah, thank you. Amazing team.
Yeah, thank you, Shah. Yeah, I'd just echo that with Ben, who stepped in as well. He's sadly not with us tonight. We hope everything's okay, Ben. It's quite weird being on without Ben, isn't it?
I know.
He's so
I miss him.
Maybe he's gone off on holiday. We've loved the collaboration. It's felt like a tight fit, a great fit ever since kind of day one, really. And I know it's mostly Joe and I that come on, but I think Christian, when he's come on, talking about Boston and the top league, and Dickie in particular, so strong on the National League North. Our podcast will be taking a break for the summer as well, but we'll be back next season. And the main four of us that do it, we've got 2 in the top league, 1 in the south, 1 in the north. So our proportion is about right. We are on the hunt, aren't we, Shah, for this podcast? Yes. We are on the hunt for somebody to join us regularly to talk about the National League North. So do drop something in the DMs to Shah or to Sam.
The Absolute Football podcast may be a good shout, because I don't even, sometimes with the random DMs I get, some messages can get lost. I'm not going to lie.
That's it. Yeah, sorry, to the Absolute Football podcast. Because we genuinely would love to have a strong core team as well covering the North to complement obviously Jen, who'll be covering it next season as well with us. I'm at RobShot66 on Twitter, and but generally I'll be doing lots of things other than football for the next couple of months. I'm trying to enjoy the break.
I bet. And if anybody does want to follow me, I am SharXREFC. That is on TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram. I have been doing a little bit more on my new channel as well. That is Ball and All with Shah. I am planning some new content on that, as well as obviously World Cup stuff on here, season reviews. So I will not be taking a break. I will be carrying on. But yes, I just want to say as well, thank you to each and every person that comes in, week out, and does support us regular. We do appreciate every single person, honestly, and it wouldn't be as fantastic, this show, if it wasn't for everybody in the chat. So yes, massive thank you to you all as well. Hope you all have a fantastic summer, and we will see you soon. Bye everybody.